morning, everybody, and welcome to our BEC webinar, the Circuit Organisers workshop that we have planned today. I'm very happy to welcome you all to attend this workshop because I think it's going to be very interesting what we have planned for you today with the different presenters. First of all, I'm going to give the word to Sven Seré, Chair of BEC Circuit Commission, who's going to welcome you as well.
Good morning, all. Thank you, Tamara, for those first introduction words. Good morning to all, as said, as this webinar for circuit organizers. Well, who am I? I am the actual chair of the Circuits Commission, of course, and I took over from Martin Kranitz, who did it for the last year. So Martin, thank you again for the work that you have done. But what am I doing also in badminton? I started quite very young to play, but due to a bad injury, I stopped playing a lot and I went into umpiring. I'm in fact an international umpire for BEC and for the World Federation since 1996, and my first international tournament was in Nitra in Slovakia. So I think if our president is also listening, welcome Mr. President, welcome Peter. So as an umpire, I was able to go to a lot of tournaments in the Badminton Europe circuit for the last 25 years. And so I've seen quite a lot, and so I'm happy that I can now chair the Circuits Commission. All the while in Belgium, I'm since 2016, mid-16, I'm president of our Royal Belgian Badminton Federation, and last year elected into the board of Badminton Europe, where I'm also, because I'm also a technical official, combining the chair of Circuits Commission and vice chair of major events, where I'm also combining chair of the technical official committee. But circuits not only as an experience of being a technical official there, before that I went into the circuit, it was in fact with playing my first love in badminton. It was organizing tournaments. I organized tournaments for more than 10 years in Belgium, international A tournaments. So I've got a bit of experience, and next week we will also organize, with me as the tournament director and organizer, the qualifier for the European Mixed Team Championships. So enough talked about myself, but now you know my backgrounds and what I'm doing also in the Circuits Commission. But why do we want to organize, in fact, this webinar? Well, I don't have to tell you that since March, almost all activities are down due to COVID, yeah. Also in our badminton world. So a lot of our activities were virtual. We couldn't see any badminton played, except for those last weeks, the European juniors in Finland, and Laura will also extend to that one. But we had the Saglor Lux in Germany, we had the Denmark Open, and now we will have in 4 countries the European Mixed Team Championships qualifiers. So it's not the amount of badminton we are used to see, and organizing during this period, it's really not easy. And therefore it's important that from this virtual world, we go to a planning stage of recovery. Yeah, and in this recovery planning, we will, together with you, we will give you the best practices of those who organized tournaments, how to organize a tournament in this recovery planning period. And then maybe in the next time we can do a webinar and maybe we have to reimagine the tournament's organization with the new normal. Yeah. So this is really what we have to think about. But this seminar is going about the best practices in how to organize a tournament in Corona, in COVID-19 conditions. So we will have a lot of speakers. I said already, Laura from Finland, who will cover COVID-19 testing. Then Christians will speak about communication, how to communicate with players, coaches, to bring them to your tournament. Myself, I will have 20 minutes of hopefully interesting stuff about the financials of a tournament, how to organize in these periods. Then we have a break. After the break, because we need to eat, it's important. Yeah. We have again 4 subjects: creating a bubble by Nikolai. Then also Martina will give the athletes view. Mathieu will speak about the technical officials and how to handle these people during a tournament. And then we will have Jimmy and Tamara that will give info and support conditions, measures from BE and BWF. Well, we are quite a lot, I see. We are 46 at this moment to participate in this webinar. So it's a good number of people. So a lot of people are interested to know how to do it. So in fact, this webinar is for all members, BC members, yeah, or circuit organizers, yeah. But also for anybody who can be interested in organizing a tournament, even if it's at national level. I think this was enough as introduction, and I hand over again to Tamara for some house rules and administration. Tamara, floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Sven, for this nice introduction. As said, I'm gonna guide you guys through some practicalities for today. So as you probably all have seen already, you have been muted by default. That doesn't mean that we don't want any discussions or questions. That doesn't mean it at all. But if you have any questions while someone is presenting today, you have either the question and answer box, which you can access in the bottom of your screen to ask your question already written. If you just want to ask a question to the presenter after his or her presentation, you can raise your hand with the raise your hand button, and then you will be given the word after the presentation to ask your question orally. We will be giving you then access to unmute yourself so you can ask your question. The workshop will be recorded and will be shared afterwards on our Badminton Europe media channels. So you will be able to check it again afterwards or to send it forward to people who could not attend today. You're also free to skip some sessions if you don't think they might be interesting for you, or to just join back again whenever it is suited for you. So I think that's about it for today. For the practicalities, let's start with our first presenter of this morning. That is going to be Laura Kittila. She's event coordinator at the Pajulahti Olympic Training Center, and she was responsible for accommodation, transport, COVID-19 testing, and the contingency plan during the 2020 European Junior Championships in Lahti, Finland, only last month. So she has some very practical information for you, how to conduct COVID-19 testing on site and how to actually engage into a contingency plan when you have a positive test. So Laura, if you're ready, the floor is yours.
Perfect. So Tamara already introduced me, but I'm Laura from Pajulahti, and I'm gonna tell you how we organize the European Youth or Junior Championships. Okay, so the starting point when we organize the event was that the second wave of COVID-19 was already on, and the infection rates all over Europe was increasing, also in Finland, even though during the whole during the spring and summer, and also now the situation in Finland is quite good. But of course, we also have increasing numbers of infection, and all the Finnish borders are and were closed. And we need to cooperate with Finnish authorities to get permit of exception for this event. And we did that. And when we get the permission, there was 3 weeks time before the event. So there wasn't that much time. Okay, we can move forward. So the Badminton Finland decided to organize the event in Pajulahti, and that was good thing because we have quite good area. All the accommodation, restaurant, venues are in the same area, so it was easy to build the bubble. And Pajulahti is one of the Finland's 11 sport institute, so we have lots of accommodation and different venues in the area. But of course, during this event, we also have other customers in our center. So it was important to build the bubble so everyone could be safe. Teams, officials, but also our other customers and our staff. We organize different restaurants for teams and our other customers, and we also use separate entrances so the teams won't be in contact with other customers, and that was important thing. When teams arrive to Finland, they need to present a negative test result, and I think this is really important because there was some withdrawals because there was some positive test results in home country, and that test needs to be done within the last 72 hours before arrival, and that was that 72 hours time period is from Finnish authorities. So I'm not sure if it's the same in every country. But okay, also during the flight and during the bus transportation in Pajulahti, everyone needs to wear a face mask. And yeah, we use the big buses, and several teams were in the same bus, but there was safety distances, and we also got permission to do that from Finnish authorities. And I think that was one really good thing, that we didn't need to use any transportation during the event, because all the accommodation and venues are in the same area. So all the transportation we needed was between the airport and Pajulahti. So when teams arrived to Finland, they needed to be 72 hours in quarantine. And during that quarantine, they were allowed to eat and practice with their own team, but they couldn't have any contact with other teams or officials or other customers. And all the free time, they needed to stay in their rooms as much as possible. And after the quarantine, or after the 72 hour, we did another COVID-19 test. And if the test result were negative, the teams were able to contact with others and eat with other players, but still we keep the the teams separate with our other customers, because we don't know have they taken the test or something like that. And only the team leaders were able to visit our reception and go to the cafe to buy some food. But all the time during the event, everyone needs to wear a face masks everywhere else than and during the games in the venue. Okay, so how we organize the tests in Bajulahti. We did cooperation with Mehiläinen, which is a private hospital in Finland. And they built a test station in Bajulahti. And we have 2 test days. The first one was before the team event, and the second before the individual event. And we use antigen test because the results, we get the results faster. And Mehiläinen analyzed the results on site, and it took like 30 minutes. And they sent the results via SMS. There was some problems with that because if you have a phone and there is some limitation that you can't, we couldn't send the message to someone because there was some limitation or something. But if there was a positive test results, we got the information, and then we checked the phone number, and Mehiläinen or the staff called the person who got the positive test result. And the prices for antigen test was 100 euros, and for PCR test 200, and normal prices in Finland for both tests is 249 euros. So when we ordered so many tests, we did like 350 tests in Bajulahti, so we got some discount. And in Finland, the antigen test is very reliable, and that's why we use that. But if there was a positive test results, we also did the PCR test, and the results was available on the following day. We have had 2 positive test results, 1 on each test days, and then we operate in accordance with the Finnish health, with the instructions of the Finnish health authorities. And when there was positive test, the whole team was excluded from the competition and the whole team isolated because they had been in contact with each other. And the isolation time for positive test results is 7 days, and then you have to be 2 days without symptoms. So if you have symptoms after 7 days, then the isolation continue as far or as long as you have been 2 days without symptoms. And the other person who have been in close contact with the infected person, they need to stay in quarantine for 10 days. And they are not, or in this case, they needed to stay in Finland and in Bajulahti. And when we isolate the team, first the instructions from Finnish health authorities was that we only need to move the person with positive test results to own single rooms, and the other team members can stay in their own rooms. But there was internal infection inside the teams, and then we decided to move all the team members to single rooms. And I think that was really good decision, because when we had that second positive test results during the second test day, and we isolate that team straight into the single rooms, there wasn't any internal infection inside that team. So that was really good decision to use the single rooms. And as I told, we got the information immediately when there was a positive test result. And we start to isolate right away. And when there was that positive test results, the Mehiläinen staff called the person with the positive test results, and they took a PCR test. And then at that time, we also isolate the team into the separate building and into the single rooms. And that team, which stayed in isolation and quarantine, the instructions was that they can go outside and take a fresh air. But of course, mainly those hours when the area is quiet, to avoid any contact. And because no one can be in contact with those infected person, we delivered daily meals and hygiene products to the isolated area, to the corridor, but not into the rooms. And we also were in contact by phone and by email with the teams each day. And also, so if they need anything, they just call us, and or if they need some food or something like that, we deliver it to the corridor. And also Finnish health officials call those person who got positive test results. They called in each day if there is care or they need to provide some care to them. And if they want to do retesting, we provided it, but it's not required. So Finnish authorities are saying that if you are 2 days without symptoms after having the COVID-19, you are able to go home and you don't need to retest again. And also if you are in quarantine for 10 days and you are still without symptoms, there are no need to do the test again. So the conclusion of this was that there was 2 positive test results, 2 teams, 1 in each team, 3 further infection within 1 team. So total 5 person infected, but no exposure of or infection to other teams or officials. So our COVID protocol worked really good, and also the isolation and quarantine work really good. But we have, of course, some challenges, and what I have heard from other events, which been organized in Finland in cross-country skiing and alpine skiing, they have worked with same challenges. So some athletes or team members did not follow the protocol and did not stay in the bubble. For example, someone visited in a grocery store and ordered pizza to Pajulahti. And I know it's hard to understand that when there was other customers or guests in Pajulahti, why teams were not allowed to walk through every door or hang out in the lobby or be in contact with other people because team were tested negative. But because we don't know if the other customers have been tested or not, we don't know that. So that's why it's important to go with the rules and stay in the bubble, because if there would be some other guest in Pajulahti who has the disease, and he or she might have spread it all over, and then there is also always a possibility to get infected. And also there was a question why we need to wear a face mask inside the venue even everyone is tested negative. But of course you never know, because there is other people around us outside the bubble who are not tested. So that's why it's important to follow the protocol and follow the rules and stay in the bubble. Okay, I think that's all. And if you have some questions, I'm happy to answer.
Laura, we have one question raised in the Q&A box from Louise Huber. She mentions, or she asks, whether you negotiated special rates for teams to stay longer or to switch to single rooms prior to the tournament. So regarding the contingency plan.
Yes, those teams who stayed longer because of the positive test results, they get those single rooms cheaper. So yeah, we have special rates for that.
If anybody else has any other questions, you can still use the Q&A box right now, or you can raise your hand using the raise your hand button, and then we will unmute you so you can ask your question directly to Laura. I don't see any questions popping up. In that case...
Tamara?
Yes, Sven?
Wait, I put in my mic. Because it was the last remark was catching my attention when you said that it was difficult to impose wearing the masks in the venue when everybody was tested negative. How did you handle this?
Laura, shall I?
How did you cope
You
with
can
it?
answer that.
Yeah.
Basically, both we, meaning Jimmy, me, and Mathieu, we have been looking at the venue. The referees as well have been helping on that one. And they literally, we went to people and told them to put on their masks several times. We've sent some warnings by email to team captains, to team managers, telling that certain players have now received an official warning, for example, for not wearing masks, because we had indeed some players who were like reluctant to wear it consistently. Of course, you just need to ask them and ask them again, and if they don't want to comply, we ask them to leave the venue. And I think we will get to that later today as well. There's now some guidelines or some breaches and fines included in the BWF policy as well about this, which we'll say a little bit more about later. But yeah, I think you need to be very, very thorough in going after those people.
Okay.
There is also another question in the QA box about the SMS. Yeah, Mehiläinen sent it straight to the players' phones. And when we realized there is some problems, I confirmed the results by email to the team leader.
Yes, so the players had to come with the SMS straight to the tournament office, and upon showing this SMS, we gave them access to the venue. We gave them a green sticker actually on their accreditation cards to make sure that it was visible for everybody that that player or that coach was tested negative and was able to access the venue freely.
And then with those accreditation cards, those teams who got the positive test results, we blocked those accreditation cards. So if in case they tried to get to the venue, their cards didn't work. But they didn't try, so that's a good thing. They stayed in the quarantine.
Okay, we still have some time left, so we have prepared a little poll about this subject for all participants to participate in. So we're going to launch it now. We're going to give you 1 minute to fill out 3 questions about COVID-19 testing and what your plan as a tournament organizer might be. Whether you are planning to do a test or ask for a negative test before their arrival, whether you plan on testing on site before the tournament, and whether you actually have read the BEC COVID-19 guidelines that are on our website. So please feel free to respond, and don't forget to click on the submit button in the bottom when you have entered all your answers. We will share the results of this poll with you after we have finished it, so you can see what the other participants of this workshop think as well, besides you. Almost 50% has voted up until now, so we're going to wait a little bit longer. As said, please do not forget to press the submit button in the bottom of the pop-up that popped up on your screen. Regarding the BEC COVID-19 guidelines, this is a document that Badminton Europe made based on experience that we had from tournaments that were held, and those guidelines need to be followed by every tournament organizer who is organizing a BEC sanctioned event. We will elaborate a little bit more on the content of these guidelines later when we get to Mathieu's presentation actually. You can see the results now on your screen. So as you can see, we had 31 people answering the questions, and all of them are planning on asking for a negative COVID-19 test result before arrival, which I think based on Laura's presentation is a good idea to do. Then around 25 people, 81% would do COVID-19 testing on site before the tournament. And 65%, 20 people have already read the COVID-19 guidelines from Badminton Europe. If there's any questions or remarks or discussions that you want to hold based on this, you can either do it now or you can do it in the recap and discussion session that we have by the end of the morning session, so at 11:30. If not, and if I can't see any more questions, then I would...
If I can say one thing about that, doing the test on site, I think everyone should consider that, because in our case, we have 2 positive test results on the 2 testing days, and the both were without symptoms. So those person didn't know, or they didn't have any clue that they have COVID-19. And when the test result came, of course, it was a shock. But without that, if we didn't organize that test day, those person would be or would go on site to venue, and I think we all can imagine, yeah, what would happen then.
Yes, correct. Okay, I think we can finalize your part, Laura. I want to thank you very much for your contribution. And I think it was very clear for everybody how important COVID-19 testing is, both before and on site. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Then we're going to go further to our next presenter of today, which is Christians Rosenwald. Christians is the General Secretary of the Latvian Badminton Federation, and he is also tournament director of the Yonex Latvia International, which was in 2020 the first elite tournament after the COVID-19 pandemic hit Europe. So he was definitely how do you say that, a first goer, a very early adapter, and made everything work at his tournament. He's going to talk about what he did around communication for COVID-19, so both to players, to volunteers, officials, media, what information that he provided them, what they need to know, and how that they made sure that they actually were still going to his tournament. So Christians, if you are ready, the floor is yours. You can share your presentation.
Yes, hello from small country of Latvia. Tamara, do you see my presentation as well? Yeah, nice. And also, did my colleague Kristaps also join me or not?
Yes, Christians, I'm here.
So we are both, because Kristaps Pilvers also was the deputy referee of our tournament, and if in case of my language issue, because my language is not so perfect of English, then Kristaps will assist me with some notice or words. So as Tamara said before, yes, we was the first tournament after All England. It was in the end of August. It was some break between both waves of COVID. And it was a privilege for us to organize a tournament, and it was also a good experience. And I think it was an experience not only for me and Kristaps and our team for Latvia, but it was also experience for all Europe, because we sent a lot of notice about our tournament also to Badminton Europe, how to manage. It was also a big help of our referee, and we sent the notice about how to organize some things, boxes, masks for referees, players, etc., etc. But my duty today is more concentrate for communications, and I will be honest, I will speak not only about COVID, but also maybe some figures about Latvian experience for tournament organization. Okay, let's start. So before, I think the main question before any tournament is the task of the tournament, and it's also in the report for Badminton Europe. We must always write some what was the task, did we realize our goals, etc. I will show that in Latvian case we have three main topics for tournament. First, opportunity to show Latvian top players and their possibility to play, because we know that not so easy is for young players to involve the big tournaments because there is a cutting and qualification. Second is promote badminton as an exciting for fans and players, and third is attract sponsors to badminton, including opportunities for badminton brands publicity and benefits of badminton community. And in the moment we have not other so in the current situation, if there is no sport fans, it means that we cannot promote badmintons in a hall. We have limited VIP opportunities. It means that it's not so many stands around. We cannot invite so many VIP persons like before, like it was like a VIP stands in our tournament, and no public activities, because 2090 we can organize a lot of things around the hall, some badminton competition for children or something like that. It's not possible today because it's limitation of COVID-19. But what we can do is live TV, live on Facebook and YouTube, and social media. And next question is maybe, okay, later. About our experience, it was, we will be honest, not so many fans in a hall also a year before, and also 2 years before, because it's usually in Latvian and also European tournaments, except Danish Open, French Open, and All England, there is not so many spectators in a hall. It means that I will be honest, no big difference on the quantity of fans from this year to another year, because no fans anyway. And it's the reason why we are starting to manage TV activities since 2015, as you see in the screen. And we are spent a lot of money and also activity for TV. As you see in this year, we have 15 hours on national-wide TV from Latvian tournament of August 2020. There is some specification of Latvian in Latvia. Maybe it's only in Latvia, but I think it's same also for other countries, because Latvian TV, if they produce a product of content, they do not have interest about matches between Polish and Slovakian or Portugal and other far away countries. They have interest only about mainly about Latvian players, and also not about Latvian players play each with Latvian players. That means that they have interest about Latvian players play with some international players. First. Second is there is a possibility to show also opening ceremony. It's very important for any tournament because we can invite some majors, some big sponsors, and they are also in the TV. And also the final is finals and award ceremonies. It's the three main guidelines for TV content in Latvian tournaments. Why TV? Because it's a question, if we have very good audience of Facebook or YouTube, or if we are very active in social networks, and if there is also, for example, in Latvian tournament, it was the coverage from Badminton Europe. The question is why we need also TV production. And the answer is very easy. You can see both of pictures, because if we have only a back camera for YouTube streaming, there is no visible banners like you saw banners here. And of course, if we are concentrate to our sponsors, it's very important to show as more as possible different types of advertisement in the hall as much wider as possible. I will later, show you the videos. So there is a side effects of TV. First is maybe Kristaps will be much competent to explain match time scheduling, because if I, as I said before, if we need to show only Latvian players, and there is also betting tasks, we must combine and make a prognosis of scheduling very, very careful. There is no pauses between the matches. It means that you must be ready to go very, very, so there is no breaks between, only 2 minutes. It means because TV cannot show nothing. There must be pauses between the games, because we must be very accurate with our umpires that it's not possible that the game start early, because it's commercials between also 2 sets. One court must be reserved, no activities behind, because it's TV don't want to show any activity if there is another court after the TV court. Time to install the equipment 2 hours before, and free space for operators next to the court, because it's not always easy to manage. And the benefits is, I think, very easy. Additional audience, additional interest for sponsors, raising the status of the tournament for participants, promoting badminton for new players, and involvement of TV viewers. And this point number 4 is very active for us, very necessary for us. Kristaps, for example, also as a manager of one of the club, can confirm that after any tournament in Latvia, which is shown on TV, we have a lot of new parents call for to ask to train with the new children. And also about involvement of TV, it was also our investment before that now in Latvia we have 3 different channels show badminton on wide TV, because we start with our Latvian tournaments. We show for Latvian audience of TV that badminton is very, very interesting to watch. And it's the reason why now is competition between 2 other channels. One big channel is, I will show, this is a slide. One of channels is only for European tournaments. They have rights of European championships and other events. Best for Sport is the rights for BWF tournaments. Is the reason why we Latvian TV viewer can see all matches of All England. There will be bubble in Thailand. There is also, it will be showed in Latvia. It's, I think, very nice for us that we can see the world level badminton in Latvian and TV channels. There is also perhaps will be a question about that how we can do this. There's the Sport Centers, the channel we cooperate for Latvian tournaments, is one of the Latvia top 5 free channels. It's seen every houses in Latvia. The team for us is a free to 5 people, 2 operators, 1 commentator, and also 1 titrator. But maybe we also have experience only 1 commentator, and we also have experience that also commentator is experienced, and he is also she is also a titrator. And we pay for Latvian tournament of 2020 €1,640 per TV production. It's about average €100 per 1 game, and it's also included 3 to 5 minutes highlights. I think it's very, very cheap, and also I think it's very necessary to do something like this, because it's a very, very big effect for this. Another question is about how to invite people, or how to invite players. And of course, we can use all of activities also assisted by Badminton Europe, BWF. They are sending information, they publish calendar, etc. But also behind this, I think it's very important, is there any PR message from us to all Europe? 2 years ago, we created this event of Notre Dame Court. It was, I think, very nice idea from us, because we receive a lot of publicity in worldwide, and it's, I think, good way how to promote. So we have our social idea, and we also receive a lot of publications, and it's like a reminding for any player or federation about us and about the tournament. This year, I think that it was very easy for us. We was the first ranking tournament after the Yonex All England, and we receive a lot of publication worldwide. I am not publishing there any other languages. It's only 1. It's, as I understand, Malaysian newspaper. There was a lot of Indian newspapers, Thailand newspapers. They are first time write about small country of Latvia, and also about our tournament as well. And this is, I think, very necessary to create this type of PR message to promote the activity. Thank you also, Badminton Europe, write about us. So communication tools. before the tournament, okay, first of course is our experience or experience of our players before, because mouth to mouth is the best communication tool ever, and also Facebook and not compete with them. Information begins with invitation, and it's also maybe I don't want to say it's not knowledge, but we also try to explain as more as possible small details in our invitation. Not only things which Tamara requests from us that you need to publish about regulation, about clothing or something like that. No, yes, it is also, but there is also a lot of information not directly connected to the badminton. Where is possible to rest? Where is possible to eat? Where is possible to receive a rent-a-car service or something like that? Because it's very important that our federations, our partners, can receive all information in one place in a start. Tournament internet page. We are creating 5 years ago the page of Yuli LV, 3 letters only, very easy to remind. Yonex Latvia International. Also, we try to explain there a lot of small details, because especially it was during this last tournament where our partners are looking for information about canceled flights, for example, about European forecasts for COVID-19, because in Latvian situation, we was a situation that when Italian team arrived into Latvia, day after, the Italy also was put in the blacklist, for example. But we know this information before. We also publish this information before, because it's very important that any of our participants are fully informed about not only exit situation, but also about potential changes. And we also put all current links. It's not only current links about COVID. There was also current links about where is possible to get a visa, what is like a currency rates or something like that, because we need to give as easy as possible for our potential, I think it's clients, to be informed about situation in Latvia and also connected to our tournament. Regular mail emails are the main tool. Yes, I hope it was not like a spam, but yes, we also informed our list of players that about like yes, we have new information from authorities or something like that. There are phone calls. It was lots of outgoing and incoming calls, and I think yes, it was one of the tools, because sometimes it's very easy to just call and explain, because it's not so many people around our tournament. Okay, maybe yes, we have success of 2018, where Latvian tournament was the biggest in Europe with 40 nations and 350 something like that entries. But it's anyway, it's only 40 member stations. Sometimes if you have very important question about some issue, it's more easy to call and not write some 10 emails each other about did you understand me correct, etc. And Facebook special messenger for special occasions, it's like if I don't know where is the player's email, and I want to inform him that he will be arrived in, or there is some changes of flights or something like that. That is easy to how to find him. Specifics of COVID-19. It is like a chess with several games all in the time, like a multi-chess, because we organize our communication that all time in our table was the 3 different parties of chess. One is if we cancel tournament. Second is if the member association are canceled participation. If there is some specific case, because now I think for next tournaments, some things are a little bit easy to manage because they know also our Latvian experience. But when we organized tournament, I was ready to cancel tournament also one day before the tournament. Because maybe, for example, if Italia and Estonia, in Latvian case, is in the list of is in a blacklist, there is no choice. We anyway need to close the tournament. If there is no more flights or something like that, there is so many topics or activities around which can develop to our tournament. Also, we send out reminders to participants to do not organize any prepaid reservations. And also, if you ask about, for example, specific case was in Spain situation. Spain called us for the U17 tournament, and we managed with him by telephone that we buy tickets only in the week of the tournament, when we are sure that the tournaments will be for them, because maybe will be some regulations from Latvian authorities. No Spanish guys in the tournament because Spanish was the leader of COVID in September, for example, or some other cases. It means that we remind all of them that please do not make any for any email about we want to make a hotel reservation. We answer no, sorry guys. We will promise you that there will be hotel for you, and of course we was ready to offer hotel for every of our guests, but do not make any prepaid reservations until you are here, because nobody can be secure about this. And also the third question is to be honest about the forecasts. For example, situation in Latvia was that I'm sure that all players are watching forecasts of Europe about changes for COVID situation after 1 week, for example. But if we know that Denmark will be in the list of COVID blacklist countries, and we know that if there will be in the blacklist, there is no direct flights from Latvia to Copenhagen, and we know that a lot of players from Denmark and the Badminton Europe Center of Excellence want to join, that it's very easy to explain them before, guys, yes, we are ready to invite you, but you must know that there can be specific situation, because it's better that we inform them before then they buy the tickets, not receive money back, there is some complaints, blah, 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 and it's not good experience of our tournament. It's better to explain before, yes, we lose the players from Center of Excellence, yes, we lose all delegations from Poland, Hungary, etc. But anyway, we organize a tournament, and I think the next time when it will be possible, they will join our tournament again. So maybe last thing is
there's a written question coming in a chat. Maybe we could comment on this as well, because it's the same topic you were speaking right now about.
You can answer, Kristaps.
Okay, I can do my comment and then you correct me if I'm missing something. So there is this question from Lise Huber-Fennel. Was there any negative publicity or the local public against foreigners coming into our tournament? So the quick answer is no, it was not there. I believe one of the main reasons at the time of our tournament at August 2020, so in Latvia, we were I think at that moment, the safest country numbers-wise in COVID, and it wasn't really a big deal in a public perception. Also, we had cleared our tournaments as legal with the authorities, and it was specifically written in the political documents that there were exceptions about public and sports tournaments that could be organized, and Yonex Latvia International was one of the specifically mentioned tournaments that were allowed to take place.
Yes, it's very important that our tournament was put in the list of the, no, it's not like tournaments like Yonex Latvia International. No, our tournament with the name Yonex Latvia International was put in the list of government document. It means together with European Championship for beach volleyball, together with World Championship for motor race or something. I don't know. There was 5 events only mentioned in this document, and one of them is Yonex Latvia International. And the second, I think there was a situation. We was the first, not only for badminton Europe and BWF as the first tournament after All England, we was also one of the first activities in Latvia, international one. And there was a lot of expectation from local authorities like hotels, taxis, other companies that, okay, very nice, something start. And we receive only good publications, not bad publications. Tamara?
Thank you, Christians. Are there any other questions popping up? Louise, is your question duly answered?
I have only possibility to show few seconds from video, if it's possible.
You can try. Then you need to share your screen again.
Yes, yes. And there you can see the different types of awards and advertisements. It's the reason why we need to, you can show it's so well. Yes, it was the reason why I showed this video, that it's how we can promote as more as possible different advertisements during our tournament. Maybe if it's not TV, we can do also same in the in a YouTube. But it's very important that we have some multi-camera equipment, as at least for finals, to show a lot of awards or advertisements around the tournament, because it's very important for our sponsors if we want to receive them.
Yes, I think you gave some really nice examples, Christians. I don't see any further questions coming in right now. What I wanted to add to this part is what we did for around communication at European Juniors as an add-on. So there we actually used this app called Sportity. Probably a lot of team managers know it by now because we used it already at Juniors in Tallinn in 2018 and now in Finland as well. So this app, we can only recommend this very highly to all tournament organizers. We are even looking into making this a possible thing from Badminton Europe for the next coming years for tournament organizers to use, because this app is very easy to download. It's free to download. You get a password to log into a certain tournament organization, a group basically that you can make yourself, and then it's very easy to add any kinds of documents, information, notifications, links to whatever you need for your tournament. So where we used it for European Championships was, for example, to post everything regarding team managers guide, COVID-19 guidelines, schedules for practice, for meals, for the COVID-19 testing, that were also updated whenever needed, and then you can send a push notification to all the people who are actually in that group, so they can see that something has been changed or that something new has been uploaded to the Sportity app. So this is something that's very easy to use and can be very useful to inform players as well, as we often see that that this is something that is lacking. So you send information to member associations, of course, before the tournament, but this doesn't always get to the players, which is why it's very important, as Christian's already mentioned, to make sure that you are reachable on WhatsApp, on calls, on anything else, on the tournament website, so players actually also can know what is happening and that they know where to search for it or who to contact about it. And the Sportity app, if you just share the code for your tournament on the website of your tournament, we can even share it on Badminton Europe. This is very easy to use, and the players can log in and they can get all the information themselves firsthand. So that's definitely something to remind or to take into account. I still don't see any other questions coming in. Do we want to do the poll still? We have 2 minutes left. So we also have some questions prepared for this subject that you can answer. So we're going to launch it now. This poll is about whether you were planning to make a little bit more effort right now on external communication than you would normally do, as your tournament is probably played without spectators, at least for first half of next year. And then second, what kind of external communication you would actually focus on, where you can choose multiple items from the list that you can see below. So we give you again some time to answer all the questions. We have quite a lot of people asking for the exact name of this app. So it was called Sportity. We have also answered to everybody in the questions tab. So if anybody else wants to know the name, please open the Q&A tab, and there you will find on the tab of answered questions a lot of times the name, how it's written exactly. We have around 50% of people answering right now, so we're going to wait a little bit longer. So please make sure to press the submit button on the bottom of your pop-up screen to validate your answers towards us. And then we will soon share the responses from everybody. Okay, we have ended the poll and we're sharing the results right now. So as you can see, almost everybody is planning on doing a little bit more external communication than normal because of the lack of spectators. And if you see at what kind of communication they would focus on, we see that everybody, of course, would focus on social media, but also a really big part would focus on live stream and even TV production in relating to their tournaments. So I'm really happy to see this and that, yeah, also interviews, press releases, photos, all been marked. I see one person adding other. If wanted, that person can, wants to share this, can raise his hand or her hand. If not, then we will finalize our presentation here. For the communication part. Christians, thank you again, and Kristaps as well for this very nice elaboration of communication for Latvia International. So I think it was very useful again. We will now continue with the third and final presentation of this morning session, which is done by Sven Seré. Sven already introduced himself this morning, but I'm happy to go over it again. So Sven is our chair of Badminton Europe Circuits Commission since October 2020. So new in the field, but not new in the overall field of badminton, of course, as he said so himself. He's also the tournament director for the Group 2 of the European Mixed Team qualification stage, which is played in Belgium later on next week, actually. and he's going to share some ideas and some experience about how to get financial resources during this COVID-19 pandemic, which we all probably know that it's not that easy. So how can you still get government funding, sponsors? How can you negotiate cancellation policies with your hotels and get all kinds of income? So Sven, if you're ready, the floor is yours.
Yes, you put on the slides.
Yes.
Well, yes, Tamara, thanks again for the introduction. I heard quite a lot of best practices already that we have taken into our organization. Of course, a qualifier is not that big organization compared to our circuits tournaments. But however, there are a lot of similar things that will come back. I will go a bit more in detail about the financials. So next slide, please. I will cover two things, hotels, how to manage with hotels, and then our experience with the hotels, and then funding, how to get funding in these periods. So I will explain how we did it. Yeah, we are talking about a budget around 10,000 euros to host this qualification event. All right, next slide, please. Hotels. Yes, you can go indeed. First of all, you need to make a choice. Which hotel will I take or not? And it was quite a work, yeah. And I'm happy that my wife helped me with this, because she's my accommodation responsible at this moment. We are organizing it in Antwerp. It is the city where she's working, and she has already some contacts with events and hotels, professionally speaking then. So it was a bit easier for her. We are just outside of Antwerp, and then first we looked at the hotels in the surroundings of the venue. And when contacting them, we have quite a few hotels, because Antwerp is the second biggest city in Belgium. Then you have to make a choice. Do we all go into one hotel, or do we have more hotels where we want to accommodate players? 3-star hotels, 4-star hotels, even do we take a 5-star hotel? Do we take a big hotel or a small hotel? All is important. The hotels we contacted, we said we need 30 rooms. Do you have them available? And then some were saying, look, due to COVID, we are refurbishing 1 or 2 floors of our hotel, so we only have this number of hotels that is available, a number of rooms that is available. So we went into the city of Antwerp and do the same over there. And then we decided to go to the hotels that most of the people know, the bigger brands in the hotels, as Ibis, as what was the other one? Radisson, Marriott. So to name some of them. And so we opted for a name that was known. Yeah. Then we received the prices. Of course, where is a hotel situated? Prices can vary, of course, yeah, and I will give some best practices, what we discovered here in discussing the prices. 3, 4, or 5-star hotels, it's a big difference. Location. Knowing it is COVID time, will you take a hotel at a low price that is outside of the city and where really nothing is to do, you can do nothing? Or do you take a location in the city center that is good and to a reasonable price? Also the facilities at the hotel, because we are having professional sporters. So what are the facilities? Is there a gym? Is there a spa in the hotel where they can practice when they are not playing on court? Of course, for such a qualifier, it's only a 3-day tournament, so you can be a bit more flexible on that one. Also, an important point are the number of twin rooms that are available in your hotel, yeah, because this can be a burden for some hotels. A lot of players will share rooms, not only players, also organization, technical officials. So you need twin rooms. I remember 20 years ago at some tournaments where I went that there was only a double room available. So we had to sleep in the same bed with another umpire. You know them, but you know them not that good to share the same bed. Sharing the same room is already one step, but sharing the same bed, it's a bit different. Also, an important thing is flexibility. You need the number of rooms, the type of rooms, which service is the hotel giving. So this is really, really, really important that you have a look into this one here, so that you don't block yourself by working by, for example, only one hotel, but just have good relations with more than one hotel, good discussions. And be transparent in your communication also to them. Yeah? I will come back later on with the biggest burden we had. And then also when we were all discussing this thing, COVID-19 bubble, we had to go then finally in one hotel. So we had to scratch off some other options we had because not enough rooms and one bubble, well, it's quite important in this period. So those are all the choices you have to list before that you can make a decision. Yeah? So first of all, you have to make a comparative study of the options you have with the different hotels. Okay, next slide, please. And then because we are talking about a tournament, we are talking about group bookings. And you have to know that the conditions for group bookings are much more restrictive than if you would do an individual booking in that hotel. Yeah. And for group bookings, it's going quite quick because it's your group as from 5 people, at least in Belgium. So that's not a lot of people, yeah, or you're in the conditions of a group booking. And when the first prizes we received, it was not, it was a surprise to us because we have the reflex, at least me, I think also you, it's to go on some booking sites, booking.com, Opodo, whatever, and to look at the price of 1 or 2 nights in that hotel. If it is including breakfast, if you can cancel and so on and so on. And those prices, when you book individually via a booking site, are much lower than the group booking prices that you can get. The initial group booking prices. Yeah. We negotiated with 5 hotels for this qualifier. 2 of the hotels said, no, this is our best price. And the best price was still 20% higher than an individual booking. 2 other hotels said, okay, we will give you the same price as that you can, I'm still at the group booking, sorry, Mathieu. 2 hotels said, okay, we will give you the price, but this after long discussions, the same price as that you can have on booking sites. And then 1 hotel said, okay, we understand your problem and we will give you a rate under the booking site rates. And this is important in one of the best practices at the end that I will give you. So finally, we choose for the last hotel that was under the booking site rates, that had a lot of flexibility in the number of rooms, that was located in the city center, but had no facility, no gym for the players. So you have to make a compromise in there. Also, if you do a group booking, it's the flexibility of the booking days, because in group bookings, in the normal status, it's 3 months before that you have to confirm your rooms. You can negotiate this back to 1 month or a maximum of 14 days. Yeah, that was the best offer that we could get. But you have to book your hotel after that the bookings have been made by the participants. So you have to make or to give yourself this flexibility that when the bookings are coming in, that you still have from the participants, that you still have the flexibility of booking your hotel. Yeah, and that you're not against the wall and that you cannot maneuver anymore. So this is also an important thing that you have to take in mind. Yes, next slide, please. Also, negotiating with the hotel, if you want the lowest price and the best conditions, one thing that we used was to say, okay, we will work with one invoice. So it's less administrative work for the hotel by billing one person. And so because we did this, we get this price that was under the booking site prices. The invoice, please send them in time to the member associations because 10 days before the start minimum, because also that you have some funds to pay the hotel, because a hotel is quite a big cost in the total organization of the tournament. And then also what we negotiated is that we have the flexibility of canceling rooms. It was much more easy because we booked double of rooms than we initially negotiated. So they understood the COVID bubble. They understood that due to the testing that is mandatory, and what we heard already in the previous presentations, that it's possible that some players will pull out due to COVID. So they agreed for each team that the rooms will be adapted, and that one room could be skipped for every block of the organization. Yeah, so the 4 teams that will come or that will play in Belgium and the organization. So we have there a kind of flexibility in adapting the rooms first, and to lower the numbers if it's due to COVID. Also, the hotel agreed, and that I also heard from our Finnish organizer, that if there are COVID cases, I hope so not, but that the hotel is prepared to switch the people to single rooms, and this without any additional cost for us as organization or for the teams. So I think also that one is a nice flexibility that we obtained with the hotel. The last one for hotels that I would like to share with you, some best practices and things that you forget. Next slide, please. It's a city tax. Yeah, it's something that when you're negotiating, city tax is not always mentioned, but you have to pay city tax in every city. And so the city tax in the group bookings that you are negotiating is mostly not included in the room price. Yeah, and this city tax is not a price per room, but it's a price per person. So if you have a twin room or double room, well, then you have to pay twice the city taxes. So you can say, okay, it's not big. It's €1 or €2 a person, or maybe higher in some cities. Well, it can make a difference to make your event break even or not. So what you also have to do is cross-check your reservations twice. Even if you make nice Excel sheets where they only have to click the arrival date, the departure date, the type of room and who has to share with who. Even some participants have difficulties with this. Yeah, and the numbers that they give in total for the delegation is not always the same as what they ask for the rooms. So always check twice, check and cross-check, because it's important. Yeah, it can make a difference of a couple of rooms and a couple of rooms of difference. If you make the mistake when you do the final booking, then it's at your cost. And that's something you don't want. A tip that I received from Tamara, who is an experienced organizer, by the way. She's Belgian, and now she's giving this experience to Badminton Europe. She said, well, try to include an income of a minimum of 10 euros per booked room. So this is also how you can, I will not say make some money, but if you negotiate well with the hotel, it is possible that you ask, for example, and this is what we have done. Yeah, we asked an addition of 10 euros for a room, and even with these 10 euros, we are still under the price that you can obtain if you make an individual booking by a booking site. So, but it's a revenue for us. Yeah, especially as the number of rooms has doubled. Well, it's quite a nice amount of money that you have for your organization. Yeah, it is what I will call later on the flexibility in your budget. So those were my points about the hotel bookings and how to negotiate it. It took some time, but I'm at the moment I'm quite happy also with how it is going with the hotel and the hotel manager. So quite happy so far. The billing is running good, and they are flexible, and the two parties are happy at this moment. So, but I see there is a question. So allow me to quick tap here. Christians, yes. No, it is the and this is the advantage of making one invoice to the hotel. Your question is addition 10 euros from hotel or player. We negotiated a price with the hotel, and from that price we added 10 euros per room. Yeah, not per player, per room. And this is the price that we send out in the official invitation. Yeah. And because invoices are sent by the Royal Belgian Badminton Federation to the participants, and we negotiated with the hotel to pay one invoice, well, it was possible to do so. Don't forget that when you do it like this, you can obtain a better price, but you also take into account, yeah, and see it as an insurance that if some players or delegations will not pay their rooms, yeah, that you still have a small buffer to compensate if this would happen. Does this answer your question, Christians?
Christian scanned the answer, so, but I assume so, so please go ahead.
Okay. Well, this is related to hotels in funding. So you can see that there is also a bit of funding in the hotel we negotiated within our total budget. But now I go to the funding itself. Next slide, please.
Sven, we just got another question regarding hotels. Maybe you want to take it first. It's from Vasilis.
I want to ask how you handle if a player books for 3 days and finally, if he leaves earlier, he wants to stay only 2 days. Well, that's a good question, but we don't have the issue at this qualifier tournament because it's the national teams that are coming, and and they will not leave earlier because they have lost. Yeah. An advantage of making the invoices before the tournament is making it clear that everybody has to take his responsibility. Mm-hmm. And if you book something, well, then you will have to pay for it. In a normal tournament, in a circuit tournament, not a qualification, I think this should be negotiated with the hotel from the beginning. My experience is that you can better book less rooms and book afterwards an additional room than booking the complete period and then going down. Yeah, this is also what the hotel said. We have the flexibility to go up in numbers, but once we have decided those are the numbers, going down, they don't like it. Yeah, so it's also something that you have to take into account when you're negotiating with the hotel. So take yourself a buffer of number of rooms. Yeah,
I can maybe add some additional experience from Belgian International from my side. So what we indeed did is we clearly mentioned in the hotel booking form that if you cancel one night, even more nights, that it was not refundable. So we communicated quite clearly about this. Nevertheless, if this happened, if a player wanted to cancel one night, for example, out of 3, then we still went back to the hotel, asked whether it is possible to get a refund for this one night, as the player actually stayed there for 2. And usually that was possible, and then we changed the invoice afterwards. But we did also have experiences that it wasn't, and then yeah, it's very bad for the player, of course, but he had to pay the full amount for the hotel. So in that case, as Sven said, I would recommend players to not book too many nights and just try to add one. Of course, you have the risk that you do not have a room for that night, but as an organizer, I can tell you that we will always help players and then try to maybe find a room in another hotel. You have to shift then from hotel, but at least you have a room. So I think that's the best solution. We have another question.
Yeah, it's not a question. In fact, it's Connor. Hi, Connor.
Okay.
From Ireland, saying how it's going in Ireland. So if the hotel can sell the room, then we can refund the player. But if the hotel can't sell the room, cannot sell the room, they won't be refunded. And this is put in the invitation. So it's the other option. But I think you have to make it clear before the tournament, and by writing it down, it's you must be transparent on what are the conditions. So this is also a good one.
Yes, very good example. Thanks, Connor.
Thank you for sharing this best practice, Connor. All right. And now I'm by funding. I'm also coming what Christians already said. You can here see how we will work for the qualifier. It was an idea I had already 1 year ago, but you know, in a qualifier it's not always easy. If you are number 2 or 3, it's the number 1 that can decide if they organize or not. Russia, but they didn't want to organize. Neither was Switzerland. So as we were interested, we take this, and we have Yonex, yeah, our main sponsor, main partner, I have to say. For more than 25 years now. They have a private complex with 5 courts that you can see inside. It's how we made this announcement with the schedule. Yeah, and this is what is important. Yeah, and what I will have to look, what I will go through with you. With partners and sponsors, the difference between it and how to do it. Yeah. You can also see, for those who have the cameras at the right side, we have also another main partner. It's the National Lottery, so it's subsidies. That is one of our other main partners, and Team Belgium, our National Olympic Committee, both also with, maybe you know, you don't know, then you will know now. Belgium is quite a complicated country with a Royal Belgian Badminton Federation that is there, that both leagues, yeah, we have the Northern League, it's Badminton Vlaanderen, and we have the league from the southern part of Belgium, it's Ligue Francophone Belgium, the Badminton. We have to work with two leagues, and as sport is regionalized, they have the money to do it, yeah. So the federation, we are two people at the federation. So this is how it works in Belgium. So it's all the time negotiating, yeah. However, we have some partners with the Belgian Federation, and we had last year some festivities, 70 years of Belgian Badminton Federation. We become a royal federation, and thanks to those good relations and the networking we did with these festivities of 70 years, it was possible now to organize this. Next slide, please. Yeah. Why? Well, it are durable professional relations, yeah, in time, and it's based on trust, and this trust was there and is there. But as in every relation, you have to work hard in every relation to get it going. And thanks to this 70 years of our Belgian badminton, it was possible for us to discuss. I did discuss with those two main partners. And when it are difficult times with partners, you can find yourself, they find each other in difficult times. Yeah. COVID-19 and no public. So when discussing this with our two main partners that you can see, Euromillions, National Lottery, and Yonex, Yonex was immediately interested because no tournaments of Yonex with Yonex label. So the Dutch Open, the Yonex Belgian Junior, the Belgian Junior, they were all cancelled. And they say, well, we are interested to join this project. Yeah. So sometimes also you need some chance, because you have to know that your main partners, they receive from the main company, so Yonex Japan, they receive funding also to fund those tournaments. And so the good thing here was that as there were no Olympics, they had some funding left. Yeah. And so they said, okay, we will offer you the accommodation for free. I think that's already a big thing. And also we will intervene in some costs and with shuttles. So I think this is already a good deal with one of our main partners. Of course, that's not enough. Yeah, we have another main partner. It's National Lottery. So then we are talking about government money with a lot of paperwork, but also with, or thanks to the good relations and some phone calls, they agreed, and I asked for a certain amount of money, and they said we will triple the amount. Yeah, because we understand that it's not easy without public, but we will give you. Then you have to give us something back. Oh, yeah, no public. So then we said we have live stream. So Christians, I think that you mentioned this already. Yeah. So it was about communication, how to communicate that people could see what is happening. So live stream will be set up. It will be a professional live stream. And we also made this banner that you can see in the right corner. This will be behind the main court where we will play. It's a banner of 4 meters on a tree, so that all the time you will have our main partners and sponsors visible on the live stream. It was also possible already to have 2 national televisions that will make a reportage about our players and about the Belgian team called, in Belgium, we have mainly names for those teams, the Red Devils and the Red Panthers. Well, we have now the Red Shuttles, yeah. So we make some promotion about it, and apparently it's something new, and a press is interested, yeah. So let's hope there will come more articles and reportages about the Red Shuttles. But to come back to this funding, my main partners, they give a minimum of 70% of the budget that I needed to organize this. Yeah. And it is from your partners that you need your backbone budget. That you will not be broken after the event, but that you can at least go to a break-even event, yeah, or make it profitable. And this is one of the points that I would like to give to you. Yeah, be creative, listen, and adapt. Christians already gave some good examples. Work more with social media, with TV and live stream. Yeah, listen to what your partners want, because of course, if you have no public, it's no revenue from public, so you have to compensate in another way. Yeah, and normally getting these amounts of money, I know those amounts are not that big as for a circuit tournament. However, yeah, go to your partners to discuss for the backbone budget. Sponsors, those are people that are not working all the time with you, but that are popping up for a certain event. It can be for 1 year, it can be for a 3 years contract that you make. But so those sponsors will finalize the budget. And this is your budget flexibility that you will get. You can see our, the most of them, yeah. We have 3 sponsors for this event, because Team Belgium is also one of our main partners that subsidized us. We have the logistic support from and communication support from the both Belgian leagues, and Badminton Europe as an organizer and sending us the people to make the technical official framework. But we have 3 sponsors for this event. It's the hotel that you can now see, it's Ibis, by giving their very low fares, that we can have a addition into our budget. We have also, believe it's the live stream company that was extremely happy to work with us because it's something different than funerals and weddings and seminars. And so they said, well, we are really that happy that we will work at 50% of the normal prices. Yeah, well, that's also a good thing to hear. And then also we have a HR company that will help us also with some other stuff in preparation and administration. So this is giving me the flexibility into the budget. Yeah, and so if you want to make your event break even or even profitable, well, in normal conditions, it's public or TV rights that will make the event break even or profitable. As we don't have it here, as it seems right now, we will have a break even event with the budget. So I think it's not that bad. to go into in those difficult conditions, to go with a break-even event. I don't want to make it profitable, because if it is profitable, the small amount of profit we maybe will make, it will go back to the players and the teams that will be present. We will buy beers for them, so at least they have a souvenir of Belgium. Yeah. Okay, I think this concludes my part. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them also here.
For now, I don't see any raised hands or any questions in the Q&A box. We already answered some, of course, about hotels. Please feel free to still ask your questions or raise your hand. In the meantime, we're going to do the final poll after this session. So we're going to launch it now. So regarding financial resources, we have some questions for you. First of all, whether your tournament is financially dependent of spectators before COVID-19. So if, for example, ticket sales is a very big part of your income. Second, what income you might lose due to COVID-19, where you can choose multiple answers from the list that is below. And then we have a third and final question, that is how many hotels that you plan on using for your tournament next year with the COVID-19 restrictions. So please feel free to answer. We will give you a little bit more time because it's quite a lot that we're asking now. And don't forget to press the submit button in the bottom of your pop-up screen. For your information, after this poll, and if there's no more questions on this part of the presentation, we will do a recap of the 3 presentations we already had this morning, making sure that you all get the key points and maybe add some additional points of experience that Badminton Europe has from other tournaments that we can, of course, not let everybody present today. That would be a little bit too much, but we will add some items where we can. And then you are free to ask some questions or discuss whatever you want, whatever needed, until we have the break at noon or even a little later as we have the time to do it. So right now we have 17 people answering, so we're going to give you a little bit more time. And we're going to end the poll here. So as you can see, on the first question, actually most tournaments were not financially dependent on spectators present in the venue. We also know that a lot of the Badminton Europe sanctioned tournaments, they actually did not sell any tickets, which shows in this answer. Second, if you look at what income people might lose from COVID-19, we see that the biggest income loss would be from entry fees from players. And then, of course, the second part would be from ticket sales, if you have any ticket sales, of course, hotel income, so related, of course, to players coming to your tournaments. And then the final question, most of you plan on only using 1 hotel, then 2, but not a lot are planning to use a lot of hotels, which I think in this situation is logical if you want to create a kind of bubble. Good. As said, I cannot see any other questions coming in for Sven, so I would like to thank Sven for his contribution as well. Regarding finances and his experience that he shared. So that concludes actually our morning session with the 3 presenters we had until now. A small recap. So we started with Laura Kittila from Finland about COVID-19 testing and the contingency plan that was in place there. I think important to remember from this session is that you have to try and get this exceptional status from the government for your tournament, making sure that everybody can actually enter your country and participate in the event. to have COVID-19 tests done before they arrive in your country, making sure that they have a negative test result 72 hours before arrival, and then still do a test on site to make sure that everybody is safe before you start with your tournament. For this COVID-19 test, they used a private hospital and negotiated the price of the test, and they were able to go down quite a lot, more than 50%, which I think is also very useful for players, as they will be the ones paying for it, and you as an organizer for the organization as well. The isolation period after a positive test is also quite important to prepare and to check in advance how you will deal with it. It is important to isolate the players in separate rooms if possible, because that will stop the spread of the virus and will also allow the players who were in contact but maybe not infected to go home sooner and make sure that they don't have any additional costs besides their normal hotel cost. What is also maybe important as an extra is to make sure that you have some kind of tracking system in place at your tournament. For juniors, we had a very good accreditation system, by the way, which was also supported by the Sportity firm, which has also the app. This accreditation system included a QR code that was scanned upon entry at the venue, but also a restaurant and practice hall, so everywhere needed. So we could track every player and every coach and everybody from the organization. And in case we had a positive test, we could also very clearly see which players were in contact with who closely before that test was done. And this helps you, of course, as an organizer to show that you can just isolate that team or those players and that no other isolation needs to be done further than that. Then maybe also check whether it is possible that players or officials can do a test on site during your tournament before they need to go back home. A lot of players right now, they need that negative test to actually enter their home country again and avoid a lockdown or an isolation period there. So if you can provide this for them, it might also give them a little bit more of a motivation to come to your tournament and to play there. So please, I would recommend to do some research about it and add this possibility to your invitation or to the information that is sent to the players. Second, we had a session from Christian Rosenwald about communication around COVID-19. So here we mentioned the Sportity app again as an extra addition, which I highly recommend everybody to check out. Christian himself, he spent some time talking, of course, about TV production and TV coverage, which is quite important as no audience is mainly allowed in any of the tournaments right now. Besides that, of course, also focus on social media, focus on live stream, anything you can do to communicate about your tournament and to get some attention for your sponsors that you still have. Regarding communication, that starts, of course, with the invitation. Make sure that you have all the details in there that you can. The more details, the better. Also, not about the tournament itself, maybe, and what is necessary from Badminton Europe side, but also details about anything that might be useful for the players, how food might be arranged, or what kind of additional things you can do for your players to make sure that they have all the info and that they are motivated to come to your tournament. Include that information, of course, also on your website, update your website regularly. And now in these times, of course, make a separate tab about COVID-19 restrictions and also communicate very open about this, about forecasts, about possible flight cancellations. What you will do as an organizer, will you make them pay the entry fees if they withdraw late, or will you not do that? Will you ask for payments of hotels in advance, or will you wait until the last minute until they're sure they can come? So all those kind of things, try to put that in your website so players know this in advance. And I would recommend to do this even before the entry deadline, because players might decide to come to your tournament based on this information. Third, send emails regularly to your players, to your member associations that are present at your tournament, to your officials, so they know what is happening. If needed, mention that you are reachable by phone call, by WhatsApp, by Messenger. Add all those contact details in your emails so players know who to contact and that they can ask questions, because there are very difficult things right now going on, very uncertain times, it is very important that you keep an open communication with everybody in order for them to come to your tournament. Then finally, we ended with the financial resources during COVID-19 from Sven Seré. Sven started about hotels, so important there is to make some very deliberate choices. Think about those choices in advance. Do some study between different hotels. Are you going to take one hotel or more? Are you going to take a cheaper hotel, which usually players don't mind if they have to pay for it themselves? Or do you want quality where you might have some more possibilities, for example, regarding the COVID-19 restrictions and guidelines you need to follow? Make group bookings and try to negotiate those prices, as said, based on booking websites, maybe that you will send the invoice from your organization. You will have some liabilities then probably, but you can also add some income to the room price for your organization, and you have maybe a little bit more flexibility from your side in that case. So also try to negotiate what to do when you have a positive case. Can the hotel offer single rooms for those players, isolate them, making sure that everybody is safe during the tournament. What also possible as an added information is that we know that certain tournament organizers have literally booked entire floors of a certain hotel. So meaning that you probably have not the possibility to book an entire hotel for your tournament, but you can book, for example, the second or the third floor for your tournament and make sure that the players are that way still combined and not in contact with anybody else. You can arrange for food delivery, for room service to the rooms themselves, so they don't have to go to the breakfast room and get in contact with other people, so you can keep your COVID-19 safe bubble of your tournament. Then about funding, finally. So it's important to have some fixed partners who fund your tournament, partners from the federation, maybe from your club, but also from the tournament itself, who are eager to contribute every single year. And there you have to listen, of course, what they want. Especially in these times, you know, you cannot provide them with a lot of spectators or with VIP tickets or anything else, but therefore it is important to see what might they be interested in instead. What can you deliver to them? Usually that's about communication items, so make sure that you have some options. You might not have to make any tickets or make any posters to hang on all kinds of public places to attract spectators, but you can put that budget in other ways of communication. Negotiate any liabilities you might have, any cancellation policies, not only with hotels, but make sure that you also think about anything else you need to do or need to make, that you can cancel it last minute without any liabilities for you as an organizer. Everybody knows it's difficult times, so I also assume that a lot of them are more flexible to these cancellation types of cancellation policies. Try to focus on live stream as your value of your tournament. So make sure you have live stream. This can be done very easily, very cheap sometimes, just by using a cell phone even and going live on social media. Because that can actually give you some extra sponsors, some visibility, as you do not have any audience. And finally, one tip that I also want to give everybody is to think about catering. You might not have any audience in the hall, but you still have people there. You have players there, you have coaches there who need food. And if you can make sure that they can get food in a safe COVID-19 way, that you make sure that you can offer them for a price, then you can make also some income on that part. So I would recommend to think about that instead of them having to do takeout or order food from anywhere or go to a restaurant, which is less safe. Keep them in your venue, keep them somewhere safe in your tournament, and try to organize something that you can actually earn some money on as well. And you probably need to do it anyway for your officials and for your organization. So just expand that part. That was it from my side. I'm not sure whether anybody else has any more questions. Please write in the Q&A box or raise your hand right now. Welcome everybody again to the second part of our Circuit Organizers workshop. I hope everybody had a good break and some nice lunch to be ready for the second part of the day, which will last normally until around 3 o'clock. First of all, I'm going to go over the practicalities again for the people who joined newly for this afternoon session. So you have seen probably already that you have been muted by default. That doesn't mean that you are not allowed to ask any questions. If you want to ask any questions, you have, first of all, the Q&A box, which is accessible in the bottom of your screen, where you can ask questions during presentations, which will be answered either directly or by the presenter or someone of us when needed. Second of all, you have a raise your hand possibility to show that you want to say something or you want to talk. In that case, we will make sure to unmute you so you can ask your question orally. We will allow the presenters to just go over their presentation without any disturbances and to answer any questions after they are done. The workshop is recorded. And we will share this recording afterwards on all our BEC media channels. So if there's anyone who could not attend today, or if you want to have a review of what has been said, you can always do that afterwards. I think then we can start with the second part. So as a first presenter, we have Nikolai Knudsen from Badminton, Denmark joining us. He will be talking about creating a bubble based on his experience at the Denmark Open this year. Nikolai is event assistant at Badminton Denmark, and he's of course part of the organizational team of the Danisa Denmark Open. So Nikolai, if you're ready, you can put on your camera and share your screen for the presentation.
Yeah, I'm ready. And I will see if I can start this. First of all, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear, and the presentation is visible.
Good. I haven't made a visual nice presentation. I have taken some pictures we took from the event to show you what we have done. First of all, this is the Accreditation Card, where we have a QR code in the right corner, where we put all information for every attendant to the tournament. We have, together with BWF before the tournament, made a few protocols on how to behave when you arrive in the tournament. So on this QR code, every information is available and is updated all the time you need anything. Before the tournament, we have asked that 72 hours before arrival, you need to have a negative test that you can show on arrival. And when you arrive to Denmark, we pick people up in cars or buses, depending on how many traveling together. We don't mix people in a small car. We don't take a person from Germany and another person from France. Then we use a bigger bus, so we have safe transportation. And then we drive them directly to the hotel where we make a test. And then you're not allowed to leave the room before you have a negative result, which you should have within 5 or 6 hours, depending on the time you have the test. If you are tested in the evening, you will have the test in the next morning. So in that case, we ensure that everyone is negative when they arrive here. And we don't allow people to leave the hotel before they are tested. So they can stay in the hotel, and when they have the test, they are allowed to take the shuttle bus to the venue and to the practice hall. And the shuttle bus is used by several countries at the same time, but everyone is tested negative and should wear face mask. Every volunteer, everyone in the work group wear face mask and other protection all the time in the venue. The driver drivers as well. You're not in direct contact with the driver. At the arrival, of course, you don't have your accreditation card, but on every hotel room, we have made a welcome letter where we have the same QR code put on, so people and players and officials and coaches can see all this protocol before they are arriving to the venue. When you arrive to the venue, we have, as you can see here, we have a scan in and scan out. So we simply scan every people coming into the venue when they go in and go out. And we make a temperature scan as well. So we assure that no people are ill. And this scan in and scan out is to ensure that we will not have more than 500 people in the venue, because it was just a restriction in Denmark at the time. So I could monitor all the time how many people and who was in the venue at the same time. In the venue, we have made a green and a red zone. As you can see here, this is from the player's guide, which we normally print, but this year we don't print anything. We put it on the QR code on the accreditation card. But as you can see, there's some green areas and some red areas. I don't know how visible it is, but in the red area, there's some blocked entrance, which are normally opened. But this year we have closed the door, so nobody can enter the red zone from the green zone. Especially here, you can see where the green zone in the right meet the red zone. There's normally a door when you go down the hallway, but this year it was not allowed. I'll just go to another picture and go back to this one, because on the door it says green zone, no entry if you come from the red zone and try to go into the green zone. Another thing we need to do this year about splitting the venue into a green and red zone is the championship office. Normally we have this in the right corner, as you can see, ID card entrance volunteers, it says this year. And in the left bottom corner, it says championship office ID card entrance in the green zone. So we made two entrances for accreditation this year. One from players and officials who are tested, and one for all the volunteers who need to help with the event who's not tested. But they will not mix, so a person in the red zone can't go to the red zone. To the green zone and the other way. And in this case, we also have the transport to go another way. It didn't park in front of the venue, but go all the way back. As you can see, the ID card entrance has been moved. So the players will go directly into the practice hall, the warm-up hall, and then they can go into the venue and back, and then go out to the bus and leave the venue again. In the hallways, we have made one-way traffic, because then you have the face in the same direction when you go, and you of course you will meet another person, but it's with a fair distance, so you have keep this safe distance. I have some more pictures in the foyer as well, where we have split the entrance in two. It can be a little bit difficult to see if you not have been in the venue before, but you can see there's a lady in purple and she's standing in the entrance. So people with a normal ticket go one way from her, and people with a VIP ticket go the other way in the foyer to the spectator seats. I could see there was a question. Should we just see what that was? In some few cases, the temperature scanning could see if you have been very, very cold outside, but then you just stand there for a few minutes and then you will have your normal temperature. It will for sure show if a person was ill and have fever. So it was not a problem. Does that answer your question?
Nikolai, I think it will. Can you also elaborate what the cutoff temperature measure was that you were testing?
Yeah, I think it was 37.3.
Okay, thanks.
Instead of the normal temperature of 37.7. I'm not sure about the temperature, actually. I can't remember what we have, but it's standing in the protocol as well. A special thing we did at the tournament is that players will take the shuttle by themselves and not from the service judge, as you normally see. There's a few things about why we did this. One thing, as few people as possible touch the shuttle. And actually we saw a benefit of that it was faster to change the shuttle than normal, because the players didn't have to go to the service judge and back. A lot of umpires told us at the tournament that the changing shuttle was a saving point of time, so it's a good benefit. And between matches, we have people going in with the pride protection and use alcohol to secure that nobody have touched it before, or at least they cleaned it, so it's ready for the next people. I don't have not much left if you don't have any questions. I can see we also split the eating facilities in two as well. We have a green. If I just go back to the accreditation card, you can see there's a dining room green. It's zone 3, and this is actually my card. I don't have access to number 4, which are dining room red. So we also have different facilities for dining.
Nikolai, we don't have any questions yet from the audience, but can you maybe elaborate what you did exactly with media and where they were allowed and how that was arranged?
Yeah, I was not that much into the media section, but we didn't allow media just to come into the venue if they were not tested. So they were not in the green bubble. They were in the red bubble. So players go to a special interview area where we have put glasses up, and then we have some journalists standing there from our side who was tested, and then they made an online interview as we do now with Zoom. So they were standing in the room next to the interview area to ask the questions. So they didn't go, it was not close to the players.
And who was allowed into the green bubble exactly? Was that just players, coaches, and but who was maybe else allowed there?
Players and coaches and team officials and the workforce for Badminton Denmark, and then a very few media people who lived in the official hotel.
Okay, and about the testing, you told us that you did testing on site and that you had results 5 to 6 hours later when the test was done. How did you arrange this specifically? Who did the testing and how did you get those results? Were you informed as a tournament organizer about this?
Yeah, we have hired some nurses who came and took all the test, and then we drive the test to a test center who could see if it was positive or negative, and we did that 3 times a day, and then they get back to us if they have a negative or if they have a positive test. We have talked to the authorities if we should do anything else, but they said that if people have a negative test 72 hours before the arrival, it's fine, and then you just can test them on arrival. And then we tested them in the end of the tournament as well. So we have 2 tests on every players. Also because some people need a negative test when they have to go back. So
can we ask whether you had any positive tests during the tournament?
You can, and I'm glad to say we have none.
None at all?
None at all.
Amazing.
Only negative tests.
We got one question from Louise Huber-Fennel asking whether the local staff also stayed in the official hotel.
Which people are you thinking about? Because the local staff for me is the security who is in the spectators area and other staff like that, and they was not tested, so they stayed at home.
Well, I assume that it's mainly the staff that was allowed into the green zone.
Every people who are in the green zone was in an official hotel. Okay. To secure the green bubble, yeah.
Then we have a second question, whether you have players fill out special permission forms to release their medical information or results for the tests.
I don't understand that question.
Yeah, I assume that this is based on GDPR, but also regarding this is medical information if you get a test result. And usually that medical information is quite personal and cannot be shared with third parties. So maybe you had some special permission forms from players to know the results of their tests, something like that.
Actually, I'm not aware of that because I was not in charge of the testing. So I'm not sure if we made a paper like that, actually. But of course, we don't have the permission to see who was tested positive or negative. I'm not sure how we did that because I was not in charge of this testing strategy.
Okay, thanks. Do we have any further questions? It is also possible to get unmuted if you want to ask your question personally to Nikolai. As I don't see any questions right now arising, we're gonna go further with the poll that we have prepared for this specific section of our workshop. So we're gonna launch a poll for all participants to answer, which you can see on your screen now. So we want to know how many of you are thinking about introducing a safe COVID-19 bubble at your tournament. An example, of course, is how Badminton Denmark did it, or in any other way that you want to make sure that everybody is tested and that there's no possibility of people interacting with people outside of the bubble. While we get the results in, Nikolai, is there anything that you can think of after doing the Denmark Open that you might have done differently, better, things that you might still change towards the next edition, for example?
Actually, the splitting of the championship office was a good thing because in the championship office you have a big knowledge about some questions, and if you have volunteers in the championship office, they have difficult to answer this kind of question. So I think we will make a green championship office for where I am in, with my staff who can answer a lot of questions for the players and officials. And then we will still have the red championship office for all the volunteers, with volunteers standing in, because they have also the knowledge for their working plan and everything. So instead of have a volunteer to answer a question from a player and me to answer a question from a volunteer. So that's why I think we will make 2 championship office next year. So it's a benefit of what we have to do this year. We will do it next year.
Okay, thanks. We're going to end the poll right here, and we're going to share the results on the screen so you can see. So most of you all want to make a COVID-19 safe bubble at their tournament next year. Only 2 said no to this. Of course, those 2 are free to elaborate on this if they want to. Then just raise your hand or write in the Q&A box, and then we will unmute you. I have one final question for Nikolai. As you are the only tournament that had Asian players up until now in Europe, I'm wondering whether you noticed that they actually had any comments or were behaving any differently than the European players, as we can clearly see that they are dealing with this differently than Europe. Did that show somehow at the tournament?
Actually, no. We have 6 Japanese players and 8 officials. So they have 14 from Japan and 2 from Chinese Taipei. I talked to the Japanese a few times, and they were happy and they were safe, and they didn't feel afraid, and they didn't actually wear face masks all the time. So I think they just was as calm as everyone else. So when they practice, they didn't wear face masks, and when they just go out to stretch, they didn't took on the face mask as.
Did they have any troubles getting back to Asia afterwards that you heard of?
No, not at all.
Okay.
So, and they were quite happy that we did play. That's the most thing we have heard afterwards. It was good that we play and we show the world that we can have a tournament if we just take the necessary what do you call it,
precautions.
Yeah, exactly, precautions for what you have to do, and make it one-way traffic. That's one of the most. We have the police came several times a week, more than 1 time every day, and they just saw what we have done, and they say, well, this looks like it's very safe. And before the tournament, we also held a meeting with the local police to talk to them about it and tell them what we have planned to do. So they were informed. So when they came, they just got a short trip in the venue, and so yeah, you have done all the things you have told us, so we can't see any issues here. So they just left again within a few minutes.
Okay, maybe one final thing. We saw now that BWF has gone out with some penalties if you breach COVID-19 protocols, which weren't yet available, of course, when you had your tournament in October. Did you have any troubles, players that needed to adhere to certain measures or protocols that they didn't want to, or that you had to chase them a lot, stuff like that?
No, not really, because everyone was interesting to have this tournament executed. So we have in the protocol said that you cannot say no to a test. So if we have any doubt, we were allowed to test a player or an official, and everyone was happy to do the test. And so no, we didn't have any issues about that. Okay,
very good to hear. Again, I don't see any questions coming in for you. So Nikolai, thank you very much for making the time to talk us through your COVID-19 protocol and the bubble you had in Denmark Open. I think it's very interesting to hear for the other tournament organizers how you did it. So thank you very much again. Then I think we can go ahead to our next presentation, which is this time from our Athletes Commission at Badminton Europe. So we have Martina Repiska presenting the athletes' point of view during this COVID-19 pandemic. Martina, she is a member of our BEC Athletes Commission. She's not the chair because he couldn't, Kai Schäfer couldn't attend sadly enough today. But she is a part of the commission, and she's a player, of course, herself, number 88 on the BWF World Ranking in women's singles. So Martina, if you're ready, you can unmute yourself and share your presentation if you want.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you very well. I can see you. So perfect.
Great, that's great. I will share my screen right now. Can you see it?
Yes, we can see it. So if you put it on presentation view, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So I would first like to introduce myself. I'm Martina and I'm a member of Badminton Europe Athletes Commission, and thank you for the opportunity to have a voice and to share this presentation with you. Today I will talk about the following topics. So first I will share with you the results of the survey that our commission, me and Kai Schäfer from Germany, that we have conducted recently. And then I'll follow up with some of the key conclusions and some of the challenges from the player's perspective. And in the end, you will all have some time to ask me questions, and I'll do my best to answer. So let's get started. The reason of the survey that we have made was to improve the safety at the future tournaments that Badminton Europe wants to organize, and we also want to limit any players' withdrawals from the tournament. And to do that, we have created this survey questionnaire where there were a couple of questions, and we have asked all the players and also possibly coaches that have participated at the most recent tournaments in Europe, and that was Denmark Open, Saarlouis Open in Germany, and Portuguese International Championships. And there were a couple of questions regarding their safety feeling and the safety tournament protocols or guidelines, we can call it, like what they thought about them. And in the end, we got 104 respondents, which in my opinion, that's quite a decent number. And thanks to that, we are able to move forward and hopefully develop some basic and satisfying tournament protocol for the future tournaments. And now I would like to share with you some of the most interesting results, I think. So as you can see in the first graph, 91.3% of all the respondents think that there should be the rule that every player and coach has have to provide a negative COVID-19 test result upon arrival. So this shows that the players highly demand a safety and the test before. And on the second graph, you can see that almost 70% of all responses say or show that players and coaches should only stay in the official hotels. And this could maybe bring a little challenge, because if players need to stay at the official hotels, and then it might get too expensive, because so far there are always some players that choose to stay somewhere else because they prefer to have a cheaper option. So in this case, if because of Corona we have to stay at the official hotels, then the organizer should provide some, let's say, less expensive hotels so that players are able to pay for the hotel expenses. Yeah, that was about these two results. And then in the end of the questionnaire, the respondents had the choice to write some comments. So here I picked some of the most interesting ones, and in general I can say that there were relatively positive comments and positive feedback about the Denmark Open, but we can have a closer look at some of the other comments or some of the details. So there was a player who thought that the Denmark Open was very well organized, but in Portugal there was no testing before, so this player thought that it was not safe enough, and that was the reason why he or she didn't play in the end. So I think we have to be aware that this is one of the reasons why some of the players are not so keen to play the tournament if there's no testing before. Another comment about the official hotel is that other people should not be allowed at the hotel. So this could be a little bit challenging as well, but I'm sure you already talked about it in the previous presentations. So maybe hiring only one floor at the hotel would be a good solution. Another comment shows that maybe players should only eat at the hotel, so they avoid going and being in contact with the public at the restaurant. And this can also be organized like at the hotel, so they are allowed to get the delivery or eat at the hotel. Another comment, a positive comment about the Denmark Open. They liked the protocols in theory, but in practice, maybe they did not implement all of the rules that were stated in the guidelines. So maybe some players require more control at the hotel, so they know where the players are going, if they are going really to get the food to the restaurants that were allowed, or whether they were going for a walk or to the center. So maybe better control at the hotel. I will move to another slide now. There are some more comments. So again, a positive comment about Denmark and about the testing. It was very good that they provided the fast test at the hotel upon arrival, and I personally was there as well, and I thought it was how it should be everywhere. So everybody get tested at the hotel and are not allowed to go out of the room before the result is negative. Yeah, and this was missing at let's say in Germany or Portugal. So we can see the difference between the safety rules regarding the testing. Another comment showing that the referees, umpires, line judges, and all other officials should also be tested if they are going to stay in the same areas of the tournament. And there should be also better protocol and guideline for the warming up areas and practice halls, which I will talk about just in a minute. I will move to the next slide, where you can see some key conclusions about that are coming from the questionnaire. The number one conclusion is that players require as much safety as possible, and that doesn't mean just the main hall, but also in the practice hall, in the warming up areas. I played Denmark Open and German Open, and at both places the tournament provided the practice hall, but there was nobody standing at the entrance checking the temperature like at the main hall, and players were just mixing together from different countries, so this was also a little bit less safe. Then if organizers want to create the environment as safe as possible, then they need to, I think, control a better hotel, like who is at the hotel, who are the players seeing at the hotel and meeting. So let's say when they go for breakfast, so they could agree with the hotel that they would have some separate corner or separate floor or something like that. And then to make the transport also more safe. So for example, some players are still taking taxis or public transport in between the hotel hall or the airport, and this also creates more risk. So the solution would be that the schedule for the shuttle bus would be more tight or more busy, meaning that, let's say, every hour there would be a shuttle bus going from the hall to the back to the hotel and the other way. Yeah, then the second point here is again that the demand for the testing is very high, and players want to be tested before the tournament and also after the arrival. And the test during the tournament, I think that depends on the length of the tournament. So if it's a whole week, like let's say in Denmark Open, then it makes sense to make a test also on Friday. And the point number 3 is the sharing of the information and of the tournament protocol. And I would like to make this a little bit more clear, that everybody has to get the tournament guidelines in advance. It was a case in both tournaments that I played. I'm not sure how it was in Portugal, but there were players that did not receive any information. They didn't know if they were allowed to go and eat out. They didn't know if they could go to the supermarket or what they were allowed to do or not to do. And the solution for this could be that the organizers send out in advance an email with the information to the member associations and also directly to the players. And another solution would be that, for example, there could be a section at the Badminton Europe website where these guidelines could be online and available to download, so every player has an access to them. All right, then I'll move to another slide, which is about the challenges. There are a couple of challenges that we have to be aware of. And one of the most tricky ones to solve is the fairness issue. And right now we have to accept the fact that it's not going to be fair for all the players, as, for example, not everyone is able to practice due to the COVID-19 regulations. Some countries are still in lockdown, and we just really have to accept that. And regardless of this, I think we should still be able to organize the tournaments and try to make it as fair as possible. And we have to have in mind that the traveling will get maybe more expensive. There will be some extra costs for the testing, for the flights, or yeah, maybe paying a little bit more for insurance. There will still be players that do not agree with such high safety restrictions, but we just have to be aware of these challenges, and yeah, if we can create the environment safe, then I'm sure we can also deal with this fairness issue. Another point is that players that are in this qualification process for Olympic Games are more likely to demand even more safety than we have seen at those past tournaments, because getting sick is very risky, and they can affect their preparation in a way that if they feel that the tournament is not organized safely, then they will simply not play, because, as I said, it's too risky and they cannot afford to get sick and miss out of some important tournaments. And there are a couple of small other challenges, such as there will still be players that will pull out from the tournament, so we have to also accept that, and to avoid this, making the best scenario with the best safety conditions could be just the right solution. I would also like to let you know that we players, we really miss the competition floor, and we want to go back to play the tournament. So we are hoping that we can get the chance to play very soon, and we hope that no more tournaments will get cancelled. Yeah, and I think that was it from my side. And now, if you have any questions, you can let me know, and I'll try to answer as best as I can.
Thank you, Martina. I think that was very useful information from the player's point of view. For now, we don't have any questions coming in. We will, if you want, of course, raise your hand or ask it in the Q&A box. Then you can ask your question directly to Martina. In the meantime,
I've got a question, Tamara.
Yes, Sven?
Martina, I was quite surprised to hear that it was no mandatory negative test before going to Saarlor-Lux. Because I was there as a technical official, and I can assure you that the COVID protocol that we received, that it was quite severe before arriving even in Germany and at the tournament. So I'm a bit surprised to hear this.
I think it was a little bit misunderstanding. It was a requirement to receive, to make the test before. We had to send it to the organizers, the test result. So there was this rule at the tournament with the testing. It was missing in Portugal. So
I also believe that you mentioned that in Saarlor-Lux there was no testing on site compared to Denmark Open, for example.
But there was testing on site, because on Sunday afternoon there was a general testing organized for all those that were not able to be tested before arriving at the tournament. So they had first to go to the hall to be tested, and then they had to stay for 48 hours in the room till the result was known. Maybe a small story about it, because there were two technical officials from Austria that the results were not there, and they had to stay 2 days longer in the room, and they were not able to leave the room. They were not allowed to leave the room, and they were not coming to the hall either. So they had to eat in the rooms and everything. So I'm a bit surprised that it was what I hear now from a player side for the Saarlor-Lux.
Yeah, you're right. There was an option to get tested on Sunday, which was, I think, a good thing from the organizer to allow players or to get the chance to get tested there. And I think this should be the case in all tournaments, that there is an opportunity to be tested on site. Just a little comment here, maybe. I know that all the players have been tested before going to Germany, and we were supposed to send the results to the organizer. But it was a little bit confusing, as after like 1 or 2 days, the organizer was still collecting the results, and they allowed to, they started the tournament, and they did not have all the tests yet. So this was a little bit, this is something that can be improved.
I agree on that one, absolutely.
Okay, good.
All right, thanks.
No problem.
Okay, some question from me then, Martina. So I agree that I heard from a lot of players that it should be mandatory that everybody gets tested before and even possible on site during the tournament, before the tournament. But is there also an agreement that who will pay for these tests? Because I know, for example, in Denmark, the players did not have to pay for the testing. But that's a different case, for example, than we had at juniors in Finland, where we had to charge the tests to the players and to the teams. Are players willing to pay for these tests as they are asking for it?
That's a good question. And I know that in Denmark, it's a little bit, I don't want to say easier, but yes, it was, we did not have to pay for the test. But I think that if we have to pay for the test, then many players are willing to pay for the test themselves. Of course, I don't want to speak for everyone. Everybody has their own opinions about this, but yeah, we just really want to get back into the tournament life, and if it takes a little bit extra money to get the test, then I think this should not be the case of why not to organize the tournament or why not to provide the test.
Well, can I suggest, in case you do another survey after certain tournaments, to maybe include this as well, whether players would be willing to pay for these kind of costs or not, or who should pay for it actually. Second question that I have for you is, I think Badminton Europe, but also tournament organizers are wondering where players get their information from most or easiest. Is that from the tournament organizers website? Is that from Badminton Europe's website? Is there any other way of them getting the information that they need? For example, if we want to share the COVID-19 protocols of every single tournament, what would be the best way for us to do that? Or for tournament organizers to do that?
I think the best it would be to put it on the website, so every player can download it. I know there is. Sorry.
Which website do you now talk about?
Just badmintoneurope.com. Mm-hmm. There is under the section like where are the draws and the list of the entries. There could be another column saying like tournament information or tournament protocol. Mm-hmm. So I think this could be a good way how to share the information. And then of course, yeah, sending it through the federations or directly to the players, but then the organizer would need to have everybody's emails, which is a little bit more tricky. But if it's available online, and if you put it, let's say in the invitation of each tournament, that there will be the link or a file that can be downloaded, then I think players would know.
Okay, do you see it as maybe an added value if we would create an app for the circuit, the European circuit, with all the information in for each tournament?
An app, yeah, that could be also a good solution, but you would have to make sure that everybody gets the app. And
indeed,
yeah.
But there we hope that the Athletes Commission can help us with.
Yeah, we will do our best, of course.
Okay, I don't see any further questions coming in from our participants. So we are just going to do another poll, which is going to launch now. So the question here is actually just whether the tournament organizers want to have a survey done with the athletes after their tournaments. So we can actually see which tournaments might be interested in having this done or not. So we're just going to give everybody a little bit of time to answer. Okay, we're going to end the poll here. So as you can see on your screen, everybody wants to have a survey done. So Martina, I think you might have some work to do after this.
Yeah, if this is the case, then it doesn't take so much effort to do a questionnaire, a simple questionnaire. So yeah, if this is what people want, then of course we can work with that.
Well, I think it's clear. So I think a lot of tournament organizers are interested in getting some feedback from the players, how they're doing and what they could improve. So please take this back to the Athletes Commission, and then we can maybe work something out together. Then I would like to thank you for all the information and the presentation you just gave us. So as said, I think it was very useful and very interesting to hear about the athlete's point of view. So thank you. And then I think we can slowly go further to our next presentation. So Martina, see you next time.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
All right, for our next presentation, this is an in-house presentation done by Mathieu Hecker, who's already joined me here at the Badminton Europe streaming room. So Mathieu is going to talk about technical officials during this COVID-19 times, which means that he's going to talk about what needs to be changed for the TO protocol and during COVID-19 and how to manage TOs at your event. As Mathieu is working on a daily basis with technical officials at the BEC office as an event officer, I think he definitely knows what he's talking about. So Mathieu, up to you.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you, Tamara, for the introduction. So as Tamara mentioned, I will be talking about technical officials and all the various aspects related to technical officials that have now changed with this new time we're in. And I will also be giving a quick word about those COVID-19 guidelines that we've mentioned briefly before. So first of all, I will talk about some of the things to be considered before the event and what can be done before the event to attract officials to your event. Because of course, as much as you need players to organize the tournament, you also need officials who are able to support this event. And there are a couple of things that can be done in order to help with that. So before the event, well, there are a couple of mandatory items in the umpire invitation, obviously, but there are other stuff that can be added when sending umpire or line judges invitation that can give some more information to those officials, and that can eventually give them some more interest into the tournament. So for example, it could be interesting for them to know where to find the latest travel or entry restrictions to the tournament country, so they don't have to do that piece of work themselves, and they can already know what reliable websites they should base themselves on. Also, how will the accommodation be arranged? Of course, this is an important topic, because if you know that you're able to accommodate all your officials in single rooms, then this will give them a really positive signal and might give them an extra interest into joining the tournament. Also, how will transport be organized between airport, hotel, venue? Are you going to provide masks? Because they will need a supply of masks for the event. As it was mentioned before, are they able to do a COVID-19 test on site? Because some people need this COVID-19 test done before they go back to their home country in order to just enter the country or avoid a potential quarantine period. And finally, we would recommend to make the nomination deadline, or the deadline they have to send in their travel details, as late as possible, so they have time to see how the situation is evolving, and once they get closer to the tournament and have a a better picture on what's going on, then they can decide whether they can join the tournament or not. As you can see on the screen now, Badminton Europe is also able to provide a guarantee letter for technical officials stating that their travel is a work-related commitment, and this way they can have a worthy purpose of travel or avoid a potential self-isolation period. We've seen that in the last period, it has been something that has been requested by many to be able to travel to the tournament place. So if they know that in advance, that can be something also that will give them some extra motivation to go to the tournament. I will now move on to the items that were added in our COVID-19 guidelines, which have a direct impact on technical officials. Well, first of all, about the accommodation, we've suggested tournament organizer that if possible, it would be ideal if all officials could be accommodated in single rooms. But of course, we realize that this creates additional cost for the organizer, and therefore this was not made mandatory. But of course, if umpires are accommodated in double rooms, then they must have single beds with 1 meter space between the beds, so everybody can have his safe space. Regarding the tournament venue, we request all tournament organizer to have a dedicated area in the stands or on the field of play with individual seating, so that we can ensure social distancing between all officials. Also, there are a couple of changes that needed to be made regarding the regular protocols that we have at tournaments. For example, regarding the meeting point, it's necessary that there is a well-spaced meeting point where we can have enough space when players and officials have to wait before going on court. The positions should be marked on the floor with, again, a 1 meter distance between each positions, and each court should have its own waiting area, or at least as many waiting areas as there are courts, so that everybody can wait in a way that ensures social distancing. Regarding walk-on and walk-off, there should be obviously again a 1 meter distance between everybody when walking on and off court. And as Nikolai was saying, with this one way of walking in the venue, walk-on and walk-off should be also organized the same way, so that people don't cross path when walking on and off court. And finally, regarding the toss, we ask that each players stay on each side of the net at the service line, and the umpire stays at the net in order to do the toss. Finally, those are the items that we ask a tournament organizer to provide in addition to what's usually provided. So we ask that plastic or surgical gloves are provided for service judges if they are to deliver the shuttles to the players. Of course, as it was shown in the presentation of Denmark Open, you're also free to use such device that would limit the number of people touching the shuttle. And then in this case, then of course there is no need for gloves for the service judges. We ask for boxes to be put on each side of the court, so that players can put the used shuttles and they don't have to give them back to the service judge. Individual sticks, or if you're going to use electronic pads, electronic score pads to record the score, then we ask that umpires are provided with individual sticks, so that not all umpires are going to be touching the same screen during the whole tournament. And finally, this item is not mandatory, but it's something that will for sure be appreciated by umpires, is that if you're going to provide masks for technical officials, for the European Junior Championships, we produced some branded masks for the officials, and although it's not that big, it's always something it's a little thing that they will always appreciate. And finally, I would like to go quickly over the COVID-19 guidelines that have been developed by Badminton Europe. So as mentioned, we have developed our own COVID-19 guidelines, which must be enforced at all Badminton Europe sanctioned tournaments. Those have been developed based on documents created by BWF, but also by our own experience. And they've been sent to all technical officials, federations, organizers, so that now everybody should be informed about this. And the referee will report any breaches to Badminton Europe, of course, but at this stage, we're really happy with the way organizers have been dealing with those, because so far we've received mostly positive feedback, and we can only encourage everybody to keep up the good work, because this is something really important. And as Martina was saying before, players and everybody involved in the tournament need to know that they are in a safe environment. So yeah, that's really good, and thank you all. And so as you can see at the bottom, the guidelines can be found on the Badminton Europe website under the circuits tab, then where the competition regulations are. But if anybody has any doubt on where to find them, we can always share the link in the Q&A box just a little later. And I will not mention all the guidelines now because it's an extensive document, so we encourage everybody to go and read it if it has not been done yet. But the main areas discussed in these documents are the tournament venue, the meetings, media, volunteers, transport, podium ceremony, match control, umpires, and also, last but definitely not least, how to create like managing the suspect case of COVID-19 and the importance of developing your own contingency plan. So thank you. That was all for me. But if there are any questions, please feel free.
Right now, I don't see anybody asking any questions. So please feel free to still do that. Raise your hand or write in the Q&A box in the bottom of your screen. In the meantime, we're gonna do a quick poll again about this specific item, technical officials, which will be launched now. So the questions that we are gonna ask here is whether you are worried about getting enough umpires for your tournament and whether you are worried about getting enough line judges for your tournament in these difficult times. So please feel free to answer. We will give you some time to do that. Yes, you can. We have some time.
Are you worried about it? I was going to read it the wrong way.
Okay, we've stopped the poll right now and sharing the results on your screen.
Yeah, and so as you can see, and as it could be expected, that most of you are a little worried about having enough officials to run your tournament. Of course, as we usually do, we are always keen on helping you and find officials for your tournament. If there is anything we can do, that being sharing all invitations with our database and the people we know are the umpire correspondent in each country, we would be, of course, happy to help. And if you have any suggestions on how we could also help you to get officials to your tournament, feel free to say anything, and we'd be happy to hear your thoughts around this.
We also received one question from Louise Huber-Fennel about the fact that they need to minimize the number of people in the venue to an absolute minimum, and whether we have any suggestions as to how to limit the number of technical officials to a certain amount.
Well, of course, we have in our regulations a minimum number of officials that are needed to run a tournament. At this stage, we've not discussed about lowering those numbers, but if it comes out that those are the little things we need to work on in order to reduce the total number of people in the venue. That's obviously something that's up for discussion, because we wouldn't want this to be an issue and to be something that would prevent from the tournament going ahead.
I also think that you also take into account the fact that you will probably have less entries than you normally do during this COVID-19 pandemic. So that there is also an option of lowering the number of courts that you would normally use, keeping your regular schedule like you would normally do, but just having less courts and less matches per day, also meaning that you need less technical officials. So this is also definitely something to look into. And can be a solution for a number of problems you might have as well regarding volunteers, for example. I don't see any other questions coming in. So in that case, I think we can slowly move further. Mathieu, I want to thank you for your contribution here and for the interesting information. We're going to do a little switch here now before we move on to our final presentation. So I'm now joined here by Jimmy Anderson, Deputy General Secretary of Badminton Europe, because we both are going to talk a bit about information and support that we can give you as tournament organizers. That's coming both from Badminton Europe, but also from Badminton World Federation. So Jimmy, I hope you're ready for the final part of our Circuit Organizers Workshop today. Good, then we can start the presentation.
First of all, of course, I would like to thank you all for taking part. It's difficult times, and of course we know that you're only joining here today because there's a need for us to do something and for you to gain information. I would like to thank the ones who have contributed already in relation to the presentations. The ones that have done so, of course, have all experienced themselves what it is like to organize tournaments under these very special circumstances. I look very much forward to next week to see how the 4 qualification groups are going to be held. Extensive preparations have been made, all of the 4 places. Unfortunately, it was not possible to conduct in Germany and France due to various reasons, but we look forward to the 4 places next week, and I'm sure that Martina, who just gave a presentation, will have a good experience when she goes to Austria. They did a lot of hard work in Austria, and I'm sure that they will see good things and they can feel absolutely safe everywhere they go. The players are the most important asset that we have, together with the sport of badminton. So we need to make sure that those two go hand in hand and are really well looked after. I think we all have a great interest in having more badminton played internationally, and you guys, the organizers, are really the key here. You have to be willing, but you also have to be capable. The willingness you have to provide, but the capabilities is kind of a joint effort. We hope we can, with this small workshop today, we can give you a little bit background, a little bit of more knowledge than you already had. But of course, it doesn't end today with five hours of a workshop. It's a teamwork between you as organizers, but also with us. So by all means, after this, always feel free to reach out. Either we can hopefully help you, and if not, hopefully we can guide you in the direction towards where you can get the needed answers. But enough about this. I'm here to tell a little bit about the information and the support which BWF can provide and will provide, and then tomorrow we'll be taking over also in relation to the coming period of how we see this from Badminton Europe, what we can potentially do for you as circuit organizers. But if we look a little bit into the BWF info and news which have come out quite lately, they had committee meetings, and they had a council meeting lately. Then there was some regulation changes done. Some of them have already been put out to you very lately, but some of them have not yet been sent out by BWF. but we have been in contact with them, and they have asked us to share what is now on your screen with all of you. Everybody in the world of badminton obviously know that these times are difficult to us, to all of us, that being tournament organizers, administrators, and athletes. And of course, a big piece of the puzzle here is when we come to financial support. What is on your screen here is one of the methods where BWF has acknowledged that the prize money, which have gone up over the last years on grade 3 level, which is our circuit level. So the 3 levels that is on our circuit is International Challenge and International Series, which contain prize money right now. And on those 2 levels, the rule for 2021 is that they can go back to what they used to be of prize money level. So instead of the $25,000 US dollars prize money for an international challenge, can in 2021 be put down to 15,000 US. Same for international series, it can go from 10,000 down to 5,000. You might say that 10,000 or 5,000 is not a lot, but again, you as tournament organizers, you know your budget very, very well, and you know that 5,000 or 10,000 counts at the bottom line. On your screen, you can also see future series listed. Future series is not really a big change because it did not contain prize money already. It's mandatory from BWF side. So if you wish, so you can of course still provide the 25,000 US or 10,000 US if that is a wish of yours. But it is an opportunity for you at least to here save a little bit of costs. For sure, costs that can be spent elsewhere. We heard from the athletes. We also heard from presentations earlier that on-site testing is requested, is needed. There are extra precautions to be taken around transport and feasible hotel options, etc. So there are additional costs in relating to running tournaments under these circumstances, and here is actually a little bit of, you can say, help for you to lower the cost. Of course, you can say the prize money is taken away from the players. That is absolutely correct. But under these circumstances, if there are no tournaments, then there are absolutely no money for the players. So here there is a cut in the prize money for 1 year, and hopefully the players will see the bigger picture in why this is done, and hopefully they can support this as well. And in the second line, it said it has a subsequent reduction in sanction fee. Obviously, sanction fee is what you pay for hosting your tournament, for having it included into the international calendar, for it to carry world ranking points, but also for administrative support from our office. Since the sanction fee comes from a percentage of the original amount of prize money, there's a subsequent reduction in sanction fee. What has not yet been done, or what has not yet been discussed thoroughly, that is from Badminton Europe side. If we are going to do something similar as was done in 2020, we saw a lot of tournament cancellations from circuit tournaments, and here there was a reduction given from Badminton Europe to the circuit tournament organizers and to member associations. Something similar is being discussed at this moment, but since we have not had a board meeting lately, and since this information came out from BWF actually half an hour ago, so we were making this slide very, very recently, as you can imagine. So this is something that it has to be discussed within Badminton Europe, and as soon as we possibly know more, we will get back to you and your member associations with further information. A different thing which BWF also announced in connection with a memo going out very recently is that the organizers, they can decide not to have qualification. It goes a little bit back to the question which Louise from German Open raised before, relating to the amount of technical officials. Obviously, technical officials relate to the amount of courts, the amount of matches, the amount of entries. So if an organizer, you could decide to strictly go and say, yeah, I only play main draw, I'm going to keep my tournament to a relatively low amount of entries. It is a possibility in 2021, and this is a way of going down in number of courts. Also, the need of needed technical officials. And finally, but not least, a table of offences and penalties in connection with breaches to COVID-19 safety protocols have also been announced and published by BWF. This is something which is extremely important that everybody are adhering to. We heard from Nikolaj Knudsen from Badminton Denmark that they had no issues during Denmark Open. Seeing in European juniors in Finland, we also had very, very little issues with players adhering to the safety protocols. As Martina was referring to, players, they obviously have a great interest in the tournaments being played. So we can only encourage everybody to maintain this safety around the tournaments and really adhering to the protocols. But if they will not do it, then there will be consequences, and these consequences have now been formalized by BWF and sent to the member associations. So hopefully also players and their entourage will be well informed about these. Are there any questions in relation to what have just been said from the BWF changes? Then please shout. Otherwise, we can take through some Badminton Europe information, and please come back to me or to tomorrow if you have any questions in either of the presentations.
Okay, so until we receive some questions, I will go forward with Badminton Europe. So first of all, what kind of support can we give you at this point already? So of course, as we do today, we can share our know-how. If you have any questions, any problems about your tournament, any issues you want to discuss, please just reach out to us. You can send an email, you can send me a WhatsApp or call me. Whatever is easiest. If you want to discuss something, then we can just go through it, and then we can find a solution together. What we already published are the COVID-19 guidelines for BEC sanctioned events. Mathieu already went over them shortly, but you can find them on our website, as said before. These guidelines are some sort of way for you to maybe make your own guidelines if you want to. You can also just adapt the ones that we have. But if you want to make additional guidelines, that's not a problem. And then we can publish those specific COVID-19 protocols on our website, or we can share them however you wish. In addition, if you want to make changes to your tournament schedule based on the entries that you received or any withdrawals that might come in after, we are very lenient in these times to do that. So normally you have to publish your schedule in your invitation, which can be adjusted based on the entries. But even now after that, we can still make changes to your schedule if that is needed, even going down one day, for example, or if needed, we can also do a redraw from certain events if there's a lot of withdrawals in there. We normally do not want to do redraws. That's something we try to avoid as much as possible. But as soon as we see that it's really been, that the draw has rendered uneven, that it's a sure thing that we need to do a redraw, then we can assist you on that, or we can do the redraw ourselves and publish it again and send it to you as an organizer. So feel free to reach out to us, of course, also in negotiation with the referee of your tournament, if you think that this might be something that needs to be done. And then finally, as you all know, we have been supporting Livestream and LiveScore for elite circuit tournaments in the past. We still plan on doing that for as many elite circuit tournaments as we possibly can. I don't know if you want to add something to that one.
No, just I think we heard it from Christians earlier, how important it is to actually have live pictures from tournaments. And that could be on any level from our grade 3. We also have organizers on a higher level than grade 3, and they know also how important it is to have live pictures coming from either live streaming or from TV. And this is definitely a focus point that we have, that we want to produce as many live pictures as possible in a high quality, but also making sure that it is possible to follow live badminton when potentially not being able to go to the venue, go to the hall, then it is important that we at least can provide something. So we are trying to support as many tournaments as Tamara is saying. We also have a partnership with a data provider and a streaming provider to whom we are delivering some material, and here we are also very interested in doing business with you and supporting your event, and this is also why we, before any cancellation or any postponement that are being potentially done, we very much would like to be in partnerships and part of this agreement. But I know Tamara is going to come back to this a little bit later. I see a question from Louise in German Open. She's saying, which live score system do you use, or does it vary from country to country? It can vary, but in most cases, it is the live score system which is done via tournament planner, tournament software. Saying all BWF sanctioned tournament must be run with the tournament software, and the software which is run through that software is quite easy implementable. So this is the one that we are mainly using in the circuit. This is the one that we are able to support our organizers with. We are able to integrate the live score directly into the live stream made. So it means that if we are producing live score from 5 courts and we are producing live stream from 5 courts, we would automatically have all the live score integrated into the streaming. So that's the software we are using. But the organizers are of course able to and welcome to use any live score system they wish to do, as long as the tournament scheduling and tournament resulting is run with tournament software. I hope that answers your question, Louise.
Okay, then we can go to the next slide. This is in case you are thinking as a tournament organizer about a possible cancellation of your tournament. So first of all, what we would like you to do is keep a high level of communication with Badminton Europe regarding a possible cancellation. We much rather be informed already quite far in advance that you are thinking about a cancellation or that you have some issues that might lead to a cancellation, rather than just getting an email saying we cancel our tournament without any further explanations. As said by Jimmy, we might be able to help you or assist you in all kinds of matters that might cause the cancellation and maybe prevent it in the first place. So therefore, please reach out to us. Talk to us about the problems you have. We ask you to make a final decision after the entry deadline for your tournament, but before the publication of the entry list. So meaning that if you want to know something, sorry, I'm a little bit distracted. If you want to wait until the entry deadline, which is 1 month before the start of your tournament, that is okay for us, because this is considered as a force majeure item, this COVID-19 pandemic. It's not something that you can help, and that causes a lot of problems in general. So we are okay with you to wait, but if you do wait until that day and then decide to go ahead, then be aware that only major changes in COVID-19 restrictions or entries should result in a later cancellation. We have a very nice example of that one, for example, now from the Danish Junior, which is a tournament that has suddenly received some very restricted measures from the government regarding their venue and what they can do in their venue. That is gonna start from Monday onwards, and their tournament is in 2 weeks. So they suddenly need to make a very, very difficult decision on what they're going to do with their tournament. So it can be happening that you decide to go ahead and then say after a week or something, after we publish the entry list, oh, but I don't think we're going to do it anyway, because suddenly you checked your budget, for example, and you can't get around. This is something you need to do in advance. So only major changes can only result in a later cancellation. If you cancel your tournament within the 15 days before the start of your tournament, then you are still liable for any cost made by third persons, meaning that if players or officials or technical officials have bought airline tickets that are non-refundable, booked hotels that are non-refundable, then you might be liable for those costs. So please be aware of this, that if you then still need to make a big decision, very short notice, then do it before the 15 days deadline of your tournament start. Then finally, if you're thinking about a postponement of your tournament rather than a cancellation, it's the same thing that we ask. Keep a high level of communication with us so we can help you and guide you to a new date for your tournament. Because of the sanction policy that we have and BWF has, postponement is only possible within 9 months from the current date, and is only possible within the same calendar year. Meaning that a tournament that is, for example, held in February that wants to postpone to November, that is at this point not possible, as we still sanction tournaments for November next year. If you want to do this, then you actually need to make a new sanction for that tournament. So a new tournament needs to be created in order to do that. The other possibility is that you just wait. That you already announce it. For example, we want to postpone, we're going to postpone till the end of the year, but that you wait until the 9 months deadline for that period has passed, and that you then decide with us which dates you want based on the availability that we have in the calendar at that point. As soon as you have new dates within that 9 months period, then we will try to give you confirmation of them as soon as possible. We of course need to also get confirmation from BWF for the calendar. So we will try to deal with that as soon as possible, but on a first come, first serve base. So if you decide sooner, then of course you have more pick in the calendar about dates that are still available. As you know, Badminton Europe would rather see tournaments happen than them being cancelled. So we are in favor of a postponement rather than a cancellation. So please think about it before you cancel your tournament, whether you are able to do a postponement. That's it for our part. I think we received one question from Christians. So Christians tells me that he thought that there might be a discount in the terms of the umpiring and the line judges, I suppose. No line judges at qualification, no service judge at qualification. So talking about grade 3 or future series tournaments.
It's not something that has been confirmed, but it is definitely something that we are very much willing to look into. As Tamara was saying, it is unprecedented times, and it is areas we need to be pragmatic in. If an organizer, and again we are talking about a high level of communication here between organizers and Badminton Europe, if it is something that the organizers can see a great benefit in terms of budgeting, in terms of the number of officials, then by all means reach out and let's have a good discussion about it. We are not here to penalize anything and to stop all badminton because we are missing some service judges and line judges. We have to be pragmatic. We have to find solutions together. So if this is something that is an issue for any organizer in relation to running a qualification with less line judges or service judges, reach out, and then I'm sure we can find an agreement well in advance of the tournament. Thanks, Christian.
Are there any other questions at this point? So we have a question from Connor. For 2021, would it be possible to have more local umpires or referees being used rather than international?
I think it's a little bit the same as we just said for Christians. If this is a need, if there's an issue in having international umpires to the tournament, coming a little bit back to what was discussed said under Mathieu's presentation, then let's find a solution on this. Preferably when it comes to referees, we would referees are appointed by Badminton Europe, and we would always seek to see if we can find international referees, saying if players can travel internationally, so can referees. So the referee is on us to find one who can actually referee your tournament. But we understand that might be difficult to find the needed amount of international umpires. And here we would rather see local umpires than we would see no umpires. So if you are referring, Connor, to the regulations in the circuit regulations and the restrictions and the requirements, then yes, it is possible. But let's take a discussion up front, so we don't risk looking at it afterwards when coming to the tournament. So we always here to listen and to have a thorough discussion well in advance. So please feel free to reach out and let's find a good solution on the numbers needed for Irish Open.
Okay, for now I can't see any further questions coming in, so we're going to do a small poll on this section as well to finalize actually the day. So the poll is going to be in general about whether you're thinking about canceling your tournament. We're going to launch it now. So you will get some time to answer these questions. So are you thinking about canceling or postponing? And what would be the main reasons for you to cancel the tournament? Which we have a multiple choice option, so you can add as many answers as you can. And then the final question is actually a question about what kind of support would you need in order for your tournament to go ahead, apart from financial assistance. We assume that everybody can use financial assistance, but what kind of items would you need help in order for you to conduct your tournament in these times? So as there's a lot of questions, we're going to give you a little bit more time, of course, to answer them all. Just so you know, these questions are for us mostly to actually be able to see what the needs are from our tournament organizers and be able to maybe do something about this, of course, in the near future. So just one last reminder, try to submit your votes by using the button in the bottom of the pop-up screen. Otherwise, we can't see your votes. We're going to have a closer look at these votes ourselves, so we're not going to share them. There's too much information in there anyway, but we will make sure to have a close look at them. So that actually concludes our entire circuit organizers workshop. I want to thank everybody who attended and possibly everybody who's still going to watch this recording after we published it on our media channels. So again, feel free to share it afterwards. I'm going to do a small recap of the 3 presentations again that we had in the afternoon. So starting with the presentation from Nikolai Knudsen about creating a bubble. So we saw him showing us a lot of pictures and a lot of ideas to maybe adapt to your own tournament. First of all, the way that they worked in zones and using an accreditation card that is very clear with QR codes, which had information updated about this specific person all the time regarding testing and access that the person needed. I think the in and out code that they used was very useful to have as a tracking system of the number of people allowed in the venue, that wasn't, that they weren't going over it at any point of time. We also heard him say that they did a lot of testing, of course, both asking for tests before the tournament, but also after they arrived, and then doing at least 2 tests for each player. I know that it's quite a lot of effort probably for a lot of our tournament organizers, but as you can see, it's not impossible. So I would recommend everybody to have a look at what is possible and feasible in your own country and with testing facilities there. Nikolai also talked a little bit about how they adhere to this bubble, meaning transport, that it was done separately once they did it from the airport, and that it, as soon as everybody tested negative, they could mix up a little bit more the players in the same transport buses. So that also allows you, of course, to have a little bit more flexibility. That the players were not allowed to leave the hotel so that they were actually all safe and in the bubble. And then finally, that they made sure in the venue that nobody was in contact with people from outside the green bubble, using all kinds of blocked doors, using one-way traffic in the hallways, for example, using the shuttle dispenser, so less contact is needed. So all kinds of items that can be useful. I think as an added, some added items from our side, as you know, masks are very, very important at these times, and everybody should use them anyway. It is a good thing, I believe, as a tournament organizer, that you try to provide some masks for the people from your organization, but also, for example, for technical officials that are coming. Try to develop guidelines that are very clear and that are informed to the players and everybody in your tournament in due time, as soon as possible, preferably, and through all kinds of ways. And also think about the ceremonies of your tournament. Mainly prize-giving ceremony is also something that you should actually consider how you're going to do this, how you're going to make it safe. In Finland, for example, we actually made sure that there was a space of at least 1.5 meters between each of the spaces of the podia, meaning that the first place, for example, was not too close to the second place or the third place. So think about these kind of items and make sure that you have an idea or a protocol in place how you can make sure that distance is created. The second part was about the athlete's point of view. That was done by Martina Repiska. I think the main thing that I learned from this presentation was the survey that they done, where it clearly said that, that players want to feel safe, so that they are very, very keen on having as much safety guidelines in place as possible. Also as much testing, both before arrival as well as on site as possible. They also want to get the information in advance so they know how it's going to be dealt with. And this might actually help them with deciding to go to your tournament or not. So again, try to have this COVID-19 protocol in place before the entry deadline, so players know that it's going to be all good and that they can go to your tournament. Regarding official hotel, 2/3 of the players said that they would be okay with having to stay in the official hotel as a mandatory item. But I think we also need to take into account that for a lot of players, there are also added costs, so that there should be an option for a low budget hotel as well, if possible at all. And this might help the players as well to come to your tournament if they can see that the cost can be reduced for them too. But overall, I think we had a very positive signal from them, saying that they want to play tournaments, that they want them to be organized, and that they really hope that there's not too many tournaments canceled in the future, so they are ready to prepare for the Olympic Games as well. So in that opinion, I think it's important to keep that in mind as well, and that players want to do it and that they want to travel, so that entries of your tournaments should still be insured in most cases. Then finally, Mathieu talked about the technical officials part, where he spoke a little bit about the umpire invitation to include as much information as possible in there in advance, so umpires don't have to search everything themselves regarding travel restrictions, for example, and also to try to make the deadline as late as possible for them to actually send in their travel details or actually attend the tournament, because they are also unsure and they also need to check what is possible from their own country, whether they are able to travel or not. Second, regarding the BEC guidelines, I think it's important for umpires that you think about the accommodation for them, maybe single rooms rather than double rooms, about the seating for umpires, the meeting point arrangements, the walk-on, the walk-off, and the toss. And basically, it always comes down to making sure that they can keep distance from everybody else. For the organizers, it is important to remember that you should try to provide gloves for them, preferably also masks. If you do that, please try to provide black masks, as that is still the color to go for umpires in general. Try to provide shuttle boxes for used shuttles next to the courts rather than having them to hand them over to the service judge again. And provide sticks if you use tablets for the umpire scoring, so they don't have to use the same tablets with their hands all together, and that they don't have to use the same sticks. We also talked about the BEC guidelines for COVID-19, which are on our BEC website, where you can find them under the competition regulations. I strongly recommend to read them. If you have any questions or if you have any remarks about them, then please feel free to share them with us, and then we can see what we can do about that. We have a question from Louise, where she asked whether we happen to know which scanning equipment or software they used, or was that all provided through Sportity? I'm assuming that the scanning equipment that you are talking about is about the juniors.
No, it was Denmark Open.
Denmark
so
Open.
It was a software. It was not coming from Sportity. It was a software Badminton Denmark developed themselves. So it's actually their own software. I'm not sure it's something they it's not something they're selling. It's not something they're giving out. But it was something they developed themselves. So if there is a special inquiry in relation to their software, I would strongly suggest you to get in contact with the events department in Badminton Denmark, and then they are able to provide you more information about the software than we are.
In case you want to know, Sportity also provides this accreditation system, including scanning.
Yeah.
Of course, that is with an added cost for the app itself and the use of this accreditation system, but that is also a possibility. But I'm sure that there are also other companies or other possibilities in this kind of area. We get a request to send the contact info. We will make sure to do that as well in due time. We got a raised hand from Vaidotas, so we're going to allow Vaidotas to unmute. So Vaidotas, if you want, you can unmute yourself and ask your question live.
Maybe not.
It doesn't seem to work at this point.
Oh, he has to do something active on his
Yeah.
side. He has an option to unmute himself. But
if not, please feel free to write then in the Q&A box if it doesn't work, if your microphone, for example, doesn't work for some reason. Do we have any other questions? We still have some time, 15 minutes before it's 3. So if there's anybody who wants to share anything, or we have a raised hand from Peter Dean from Badminton Scotland. So Peter, we're going to allow you to unmute yourself.
Hi there, how are you doing?
Hi, Peter.
So for us, the COVID-19 has meant that we're going to have problems in terms of finances, which I'm sure is the same for everyone. Our venue is, the majority of our venue costs are covered by the city council, essentially, and they are even worse shape than us financially, which means that we're probably going to have to change venue. There's a very high chance that we won't be able to play at the Emirates next year, unfortunately. Essentially, I might be looking for quite a lot of flexibility in terms of venue requirements, and it's just to find out how we go about, starting that discussion, what we could do to identify a solution to potential problems that we are going to face.
I think if first of all, our circuit regulations relate to the BWF regulations on international specifications. So in here we are sure. I'm sure we can find venues that are not as great as Emirates in Glasgow. It's an amazing venue you normally have, but surely we can. I really think we can find suitable venues in Glasgow or otherwhere else in Scotland to host Scottish Open. I'm sure we can find an agreement here, but to answer your questions, we are simply just relating to BWF's regulations on international specifications for venues. which are relating to, of course, background, no direct natural light on background, 9 meters high, etc. It's not extremely specific, but it's there. So if you have venues that are fulfilling those few requirements listed here, then it's actually acceptable to play international badminton in.
So I'll give you just a couple of specific examples. I won't take too much time because they are specific examples, but we've got almost a purpose-built facility that our national squad uses to train at, but it's not purpose-built for competition. And the court, the amount of space behind the baseline, for example, I think is probably slightly less than 2 meters. In all other ways, it's probably fine to play, but it doesn't meet the 2 meter requirement behind the baseline. So, for example, would that mean that we couldn't use that venue?
Obviously, we need some trafficking in the venue. So you need to be able to move in the venue. So saying you are playing on 4 courts, obviously you need to be able to walk behind a court to get to another one. So if it's only one end that is 2 meters space out to the wall, let's not use that for walking on, walking off, but use the other one. But if it's on both ends, then I can definitely see there is an issue for hosting an international event. So if that is the case, then yes, then there would be an issue with such.
I think we could probably do okay with that then, because the entrances and exits to that particular hall are such that it wouldn't create a problem by having to go behind the courts. Would it be okay if I sort of chat to you and Tamara offline about this at some stage?
Anytime.
Ideally over the next couple of days, because I've actually got a meeting with our partners next week, so I could do with having a few bits and pieces of information before then, if that's possible.
Absolutely. Please just reach out directly, Peter, and we can have a discussion on this as soon as possible.
Thanks very much.
Are there any other questions from the attendees at this point?
Doesn't seem so. So
nope.
I think just thank you all for attending. We've seen a lot of member associations, a lot of organizers attending here. We also seen presence of 3 other continental confederations. Our good colleagues from Oceania, Africa, and Pan America have joined the session, parts of it or the whole piece. So of course we thank you for attending as well, and we definitely hope that it was useful for you as well and for your member associations. Please feel free to share with those as well. But otherwise, just in general, thank you all for attending this session. And as we mentioned before, it doesn't stop here. We are here to assist at all times. So please, at any time, please feel free to reach out. As Tamara very clearly said before any decisions or further thoughts about postponements or cancellations are being made, let's have a thorough discussion about it, because we have a natural interest in your tournament being played. The players have as well, and hopefully you see this as well, that having badminton is better than not having badminton. It all has to come together at one point, financially and health-wise. But if we can together find a solution, let's try to do so. So let's keep the communication level high at all times. Feel free to reach out at any time to our office, and let's have a good discussion together. And any questions relating to what you have heard or seen today, or maybe things you have not seen or heard today, reach out, and we shall always try to accommodate your requests and questions as good as we possibly can.
Also, thank you from my side. I hope to be in touch with you all in the near future about your tournaments, and hopefully with some positive news. Thank you, Jimmy, for joining me here for the last part, and see you all soon, hopefully somewhere in a better world with no COVID-19 anymore.
Comments? If not, then yeah,
we're gonna shut it down.
Shut it down, and wish you all a continuously good day, and hope to see you soon. Not on a screen, but in real life. Take care.
Bye.